Hello everybody, welcome to ZeldaSpeedRuns, broadcasting the Twilight Princess 80% Tournament 2024. We got pool number 5 for you today, featuring ZachLink99, the guy downstairs, Midnalin, and Unknown Pigeon. Commenting for us are Jacques Crade and Morgan. Say hello everybody.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are.
Yeah, I guess in Europe it's probably about to be morning.
It's always morning somewhere.
That's right. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Here, where I am. But anyway. So we have a pool race today. So this is the last pool race. We will have one last chance race with all the third place finishers from all of the 7 pools, and probably sometime in the next week. But this will determine most of the rest of the spots in the main bracket and the redemption bracket.
Yep, and I believe we're going to start with head-to-head matches tomorrow, since some of those are already determined.
Yeah, there have been a few determined so far. We had a few pools today that were determining a lot of the remaining spots, so now there should be more people that can start scheduling theirs.
Yep, this is the last pool of our triple header today. Been a wild day of Twilight Princess. Anyways, looks like we're going to get right into it.
And just to briefly recap how the pools work, the top 2 finishers will go to the main bracket. The third place finisher will go to a special last chance pool to determine the last 2 runners in the main bracket. And then the 4th place finisher will go to the redemption bracket.
Yep, and of course, immediately we're going to see all of the runners heading over to the gate clip rock to carry it over to the gate to Farron Woods and try to clip through that. We'll see. Hopefully this doesn't take too long for anybody.
Yeah, this rock and gate can be kind of random. Sometimes you'll just flip back out onto the Ordon side of the gate.
TGD first through the gate, very clean.
Zach got it second try.
As well. Zach got it second try. Pigeon a little longer.
Yeah, having trouble. I'm curious how many people are... I couldn't tell if anybody was doing unplug there or just like trying to press map and A at the same time.
Looked fast enough that I assume it was all unbuffered.
Yeah.
You can see all 3 of those doing back in time now.
Right. You can like do an unplug strat, but it's a little bit slower because you have to like, unplug your controller and then hold the buttons and plug it back in. It takes a little bit.
Yep, we've seen a few runners do the unplug strategy, and we've seen a few runners fail the unbuffered strategy and ended up having to essentially restart and lose about a minute right at the start. So, you get why people do it.
Yeah, I've definitely also had controllers before that the unplug strat just won't work for some reason on that spot. I don't really understand why.
Weird.
The D-pad on the controller is not particularly great. So.
And looks like we have 2 players on French today and 2 on English. Jaquay, do you want to explain the language differences here?
Yeah, so in general, German is, I think, still the fastest for any percent, slightly faster than English overall with the text boxes. French, the text boxes overall are slower, but the thing that French has that the other versions don't have is that it has a French exclusive glitch with the cannon so that you don't actually have to pay 300 rupees. So you can skip collecting rupees throughout the run, and it ends up being about the same speed as the other languages.
Yep, so it looks like TGD and Pigeon are going for that strategy. Some runners find it a little bit more consistent, not having to worry about rupee routing. Unsurprisingly, everybody's staying in sync pretty well through this first section. It's mostly just a lot of rolling in a straight line. Though I assume coming out of the cave here, we will see some of the runners moving the camera in a certain way to try to avoid lag in this North Farron area.
Yeah, you could tell some of them were already actually doing it before they got into the cave even. So I think at least a few of our runners are going to be doing that. Interestingly, I didn't actually see anybody manipulate the camera going to the gate. I guess maybe it doesn't save as much time there.
Yeah, I'm not certain. I do it.
Yeah,
do
I
it
definitely
Wednesday.
saw several people were doing it before the cave.
That's weird because I don't do that one.
Yeah.
Looks like TGD will be barely first to the cage here. 4:09 for the cage break, 4:12 from Zach Link. Both of those very good times for a race. Midland not far behind.
Yeah, in normal PB attempts, you'd get faster cage break times here because you do a side hop to do the bit at the beginning. But since it's a race and the runners wanted to be consistent, they did the strat with the A in the map at the same time at the end of the bridge, which takes a little bit more time.
Yep, the side hop strat is roughly frame perfect, but the rolling to the end of the bridge and dropping off only loses a few seconds in comparison, and it's most people don't think it's worth the risk in the race. Let's see if goats will widen the gap here. TGD, actually both of them choosing to go right side first. Again, little safer.
Yeah, there are some like fairly consistent routes for
And
doing
17.
goats.
Wow, 17
yeah, that's
seconds for
fast.
TGD. That's fast, especially for right goats. That's incredible.
Yeah, the goats can be a little bit random. I think they're random in particular in like how far they can hear you from, essentially.
Yeah.
And so it kind of makes it so it's inconsistent even if you did the same inputs every time.
Yeah, you really kind of have to read how they're responding to you.
Right.
And TGG first into Bo. This is another RNG heavy section. We're essentially going to play rock, paper, scissors with Bo, with the added little wrinkle that if you win the round of rock, paper, scissors, then as a reward you have to mash the A button at least 12 times per second to get the fastest cycle. Let's see how everybody does with that. Everyone on into Bo now, so they could come out of this section in any order.
So hopefully we will see fairly normal bows and not anything horrific. This morning I think I lost like 2 minutes to Bo because he just kept dodging me on the second phase. It was crazy.
It can happen.
So
I think
it
we
can
saw some bad
definitely
ones in
happen.
the earlier pools.
Yeah.
PGD
Yeah,
barely missed. Oh, unfortunate. Barely missed the one cycle and then a bad RNG to try to knock him off afterwards. Let's see if Zach does better. Perfect.
Goodbye, Zach. Midna didn't quite mash fast enough. But the double slap, interesting.
Hey, it gets the job done. Pigeon also getting the one cycle.
Yeah, Morgan, do you know if in the first phase you slap Bo when he stands still, do you have to actually mash faster or is it the same?
I think it's the same, but I'm not certain. Looks like Zach will be the first out of Bo. Some unfortunate RNG for TGD here. And for Pigeon.
Yeah, if you get a really bad Bo here, thankfully none of these runners did, but it's very demotivating. Also, your arm feels like it's going to fall off for the rest of the run. It's not very fun.
Absolutely. The worst part about losing a minute on Bo is then you have to do sewers with your hand falling off.
Right. Yeah, because there's a lot of mashing that you do for the one framers that you really want to get during sewers.
Yep. Still, it looks like nobody's had a catastrophic Bo. We're all still within 30 seconds or so here. That doesn't always happen.
Yeah, and the runners are all saving here to prep for a trick in about 20 minutes that we can talk about later.
Yep. Then everyone on the way on into sewers. This will be our first introduction to Wolf Link.
Thankfully, it doesn't look like anybody is going to try to gate clip again, so that's good.
That's good.
Definitely have done that before.
Yeah, we end up in this game we end up going through the same area a few times over the course of the speedrun, and everybody's made that kind of mistake a few times. Zach barely missing box break.
Yeah, he missed it. It's a few
Let's see
frames.
how a TGD does. Also misses.
Wow.
And same for Midland. Bad day for box break.
Pigeon has got.
Yeah, I believe
the rest of the group.
I believe Badamja timed that recently and said it saves 4 frames. I've heard a couple numbers.
Yeah, it's not very much, but still something, and it looks cool.
There we go. All right, Pigeon. Okay. Pigeon wins the race. Pigeon's the winner.
The group has been redeemed.
And let's see how everybody does in sewers proper. This is a lot of tight movement in here. Lots of tiny little time savers that people will be going for.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if anybody gets the Midna text displacement towards the end of sewers, like this first area at least. That was an interesting side hop by TGD. Not sure that he was trying to do that, but it worked.
I'm going to assume no. See if Zach gets mid to TD. Nope.
No.
What he's trying to do there is talk to Midna from slightly outside that cutscene. It makes the text sequence a tiny bit shorter. Looks like TGD got it.
Zach barely fell in the water there to trigger the Midna text.
Yep, with a precise jump, like I think TGD just did. You can skip that text box.
Yeah, TGD got the skip.
Looks good. And the one framer. For those Midna jumps in a couple other situations in the game where there's a gap between like a text box and a cutscene, or between 2 cutscenes, there's usually 1 frame for input. And in this case, TGD was able to jump to Midna and skip the animation of her flying to the first point. Saves, again, about half a second. Another opportunity for one here.
TGD getting like all the 1-framers right now. It's crazy.
Yep, and another one out of that rooftops intro cutscene to skip some more text.
Yeah, that one's a little easier because you can time it with the, or at least in theory, a little easier because you can time it with the start press to skip the cutscene.
Yep, that one you just have to press A 1 frame after start. Although I usually just mash for it.
Yeah, there's a way you can do it where, I don't know if you do the 2-thumb method to do text mashing with A and B, but you can do the same sort of thing. At least that's what Zach does for
That's basically what I do.
Right. So if you can get the timing consistent on how you do that, then you should get it every time. Easier.
All right, then Zach's the first one to make it to Zelda here, but only by a little bit.
Yeah, fun fact, there's actually a yellow rupee in that fireplace.
Yeah, I just learned that.
Yeah, so did I. My mind was blown.
Then, Jacrae, do you want to tell us about Sword and Shield skip? Because we're getting on towards that point.
Yeah, so for Sword and Shield skip, we use this Boblin over here called Hugo, who actually can spawn in random locations, so you hope that he's like not all the way back at the entrance and that he can see you fairly quickly.
Good Hugo spawn for Zach there.
For Zach, yeah.
And for
also
TGD.
Pretty good for TGD. And so we're just going to walk Hugo over to the trigger over here. So there's 2 triggers on the ground. So there's a ground trigger, which has Midna text that normally keeps you from being able to go to far in Twilight. And then there's an air trigger that's a little bit smaller and further in. And if you can get into the air trigger without touching the ground trigger, you can enter far on Twilight without having to do stuff in Ordon, which notably, because of Back in Time, we can't actually do anymore because there's like some flags are set so that we can't actually go get those items.
Yep, the
and
game wants
so-
us to pick up the Orden Sword and Orden Shield from Orden Village until has midnight let us into the Twilight, but we can't do that. If we went to Orden Village now, those things wouldn't be there because of back in time.
Yeah, I don't know why Zach went for that. Hugo was way too far back. It looks like TGD got it. But so what I was going to say is, as you can see there, they're trying to go for like a hit to get Hugo into a good position, and then an LJA off of Hugo's body into the air trigger without touching the ground trigger. And so you kind of want him to be standing in like a semi. It's not super precise position, but it's like between a line and a dot, more or less. And then you just kind of press A twice with like decent timing to be able to jump into the air trigger.
Yeah, there's a significant RNG component to the trick as well, because to do it, it's not technically required, but most runners will attempt to do it off an attack
swing.
from Hugo.
Yeah, right.
And his exact position where he does the attack isn't really under the player's control. You can influence a little, but you can see he's kind of rocking back and forth while he's thinking about taking a swing.
Yeah, let's see if Zach realizes that the last time Hugo was just way too far back. Not getting very good RNG with the Hugo swings here. You don't really want him to swing at you until he gets into position like that.
Yep.
Oh,
unfortunate.
No, Zach. Unfortunate. Yeah, I think in that position, Zach needed to pretty much press A the second time immediately rather than trying to slide. But it varies based on Hugo's position.
I'm not certain.
Like how your backflip goes and everything. So.
Then you can see after the runners fail, they have to void out to reload the area and try again, because Hugo only has enough health for one attempt at the trick. It's like mid got it.
Yep. So hopefully,
yeah, we saw Pigeon. We saw Pigeon took quite a while to get a position they were happy with for Hugo, and that's a good strategy during a race, because resetting takes at least a minute. On that trick, it's almost always better to get it the first time, even if it's a slow first time. More one frame mid jumps from TGD there, very nice. And then you can also see that TGD is completely ignoring the Tears of Light in Fair and Twilight, where he's instead going to later use a trick to escape Fair and Woods without completing either the Twilight or Forest Temple, but we do have a couple things to do here beforehand.
There we go, Zach got it.
Nice, so everybody's on into Fair and Woods.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that Zach is frustrated about that, but there's still like over 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 45 minutes even left in this run, so.
Absolutely, where, the runners seem like they're pretty spaced out right now, but there's still, the other 7/8 of the run left or whatever. Anyways, we just saw TGD do a super jump off a Twilight Messenger there, using a Midna charge to get out of bounds, and then he's dropped down to the Sacred Grove entrance, where he'll be able to get the Master Sword early.
Which, as you might be able to imagine, being able to transform anywhere and warp, around early in the game is very, very nice.
Yep, we'll be using both of those abilities pretty much immediately.
In fact, I don't even know if there's a way to get out of Sacred Grove without warping.
So. There is. You can go all the way back to the entrance and come back out into North Farron and Death Warp, and you end up in South Farron.
So the game over there would put you all the way in South Farron rather than...
Yep, any game over in North Farron does.
Interesting. And that is a useful fact for Bite, which none of these.
Yep, Bite routes do that Death Warp on purpose. We won't be seeing that today. It does make dying in the EMS fight very annoying. Looks like Pigeon had a fast EMS. First try there, very nice. Let's see how Midland does.
good from Midna.
Yep. Very smooth. And meanwhile, TGD almost done with the Skull Kid chase section. Looks like you did get the drop down during the cutscene there. If you do that last hit in a certain way, you can actually fall down from that ledge during the cutscene, which saves a tiny bit of time.
Yeah, if you don't space it out quite right, you'll be hanging off the ledge. You can actually tell if you made it all the way to the ground by looking at Skull Kid's face. If he's looking up, then you're still on the ledge. If he's looking kind of down at ground level, then you've made it all the way down.
And clean EMS from Zach. Clean EMS from Zach as well. So we've had 4 runners get EMS on their first attempt.
Yeah, that
something that has never happened before in the history of Twilight Princess speedrun racing.
I don't know if we can fact check that or not, but
I'm choosing to believe it's true.
It might as well be true. It is kind of rare, so.
Yeah, the good news is that trick only takes a few seconds to retry if you fail it, so it's not the end of the world. It's not nearly as much of a time loss as Sword and Shield skip.
Right, if you do fail it,
still can be frustrating.
If you do fail it, you can just go kill one of the other Shadow Beasts, and a lot of the time, Jamal, who's the, Shadow Beast that we use for the jump, will still be pretty much in the right position, so you can just run back over without having to.
Looks like I think Pigeon is going to end up on the ledge here.
Yeah, I didn't see.
And
but there you go.
is.
So that's a good demonstration of how the visual cue works and everything.
Then TGD on into the Master Sword puzzle.
Yeah, and one thing, by the way, since we'll probably see it from TGD here, runners typically try to get these little senses presses in the middle of every jump. TGD just missed one, so he can't get 12 out of 12, but it's always fun to have a run where you get every single senses press, and it's a few frames, I think, in each jump.
I believe it's 2 frames.
Yeah, so you kind of just mash X a little bit while you're doing these jumps, because there's nothing.
I usually try to time it. There are some visual cues you can look for.
Okay.
It doesn't affect anything. It's just something to do, because the Master Sword puzzle does take a while, and we've all memorized the solution.
Right. You can actually do since the puzzle is symmetrical, you can actually go like exactly the opposite way and it'll work too, which is kind of cool. It's nice for Wii because I think they actually use the same like left-right inputs even though it's mirrored.
TGD unfortunately, it's very easy to do.
Yeah, well, and because most people split on touching the Master Sword, and I think TGD did there as well. And so he's trying to split and press A at the same time, and so if you don't have a foot pedal or like an auto splitter or something, it's very easy to run past the Master Sword instead of pressing A.
I don't think anybody has working auto split for SD.
Well,
I know Cass had been messing with it in the past, but I don't think they were able to get anything going.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody is. I guess nobody set it up since ELH.
Then I think we're just going to barely not have everybody in the Master Sword cutscene at the same time. It's one of the longer cutscenes in the TP speedrun, since most of them are skippable.
Yeah, it's almost a 2-minute cutscene. You do have a little bit of text at like about the 48-second mark, and then again at I don't remember how long it is, but it's only one text box early in the cutscene, so it's kind of annoying because you don't have as much time as you would like to like go do something in the middle of it, but it's still a decent amount of time.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, Zach. The text boxes in the Master Sword cutscene are probably my least favorite text boxes in the game.
Well, yeah, because they're also very spaced out, and so you kind of just like you're just sitting there and like wait a few seconds to start matching again, and it's not fun.
Yep.
I guess Cass and Marco do have auto splitter set up.
Apparently.
So there are a few people who have set it up. I think the way it works for like doing a GameCube auto splitter is you have to set it up with like particular, image frames that OBS reacts to or something like that. Or the
Fair
software
enough, Anno.
works.
I meant in any percent, anyways. Anyways, TGD using his newfound Master Sword powers to warp back to South Farron. He'll be making his way over to the Forest Temple next.
Anno, if you're talking about like text boxes from failing rather than text boxes that you normally get, then I'm surprised that you didn't say the text boxes where Midna says, "Boy, you sure are thick,"
Yeah, that's true.
which is what she says, I think, when you fail.
When you fail Sword and Shield skip,
Sword and Shield
yes.
skip. Yes.
Anyways, our next stop is the Forest Temple. With the trick we'll see later, we don't have to complete the Forest Temple, but we do need to go there to get the Gale Boomerang, which is required to complete the game, as well as a very useful item for speedrunning. TGD with a one-frame dash out of the dig spot to skip the animation of Midna landing on Link's back.
Yeah, we can also just kind of roll through this purple mist as human with the lantern here, which is kind of nice. TGD
the
doing an
lantern's
extra swing, but still pretty fast.
Playing it safe. The lantern is supposed to disperse the fog, but for some reason it doesn't work in the Twilight, probably because you're not meant to be human here. But thankfully, the effect still works.
Yeah,
Hopefully
and
we'll
I
have
think-
good luck with these Shadow Beasts. They can... Fortunately, is getting one that's very interested in the wall over there. That can happen.
Yeah, one nice thing with all of the GZ tools and decomp and everything that we figured out was that you can technically go through the fog with the lantern without actually like swinging multiple times, because if you move really slowly, the radius around you that you can walk in is like big enough to just very slowly walk forward. Just kind of
Yep,
funny.
the problem is you have to move very slowly.
Yeah, so it's definitely not faster, but it is just kind of funny to know.
Anyways, TGD is about to start attempting Forest Temple back in time. He's going to try to do a jump attack to get behind the load zone and reset the console on the same frame to take control of Link on the title screen. I assume he'll be using a buffer setup to do that. Looks like he is. Then, Jaquade, do you want to talk about what exactly he's trying to do here?
Yeah, so if you remember from the beginning of the run where we did back in time by dropping off the bridge and resetting at the same time, here, instead of voiding out, we're actually going to, like, in the middle of voiding out, load a save file, and if we have a save like we do from after getting the Iron Boots that has, like, the right properties, we can load into the King Boblin 1 fight. And that's useful in bite routes to get to Kakariko, but for our purposes here, we're actually just using it to get boss flagged by resetting the console on at the same time that we skip the cutscene. And so that's going to do some interesting things. It'll give us a ton of monkeys whenever we go into the room before Ook here, so we can skip saving a bunch of monkeys, which is nice. And then later on, it's going to help us get into the Deck and Toad fight early.
Yep, let's see how TGD does with the Forest Temple spiders. He's already made quick work of one of them with the Deku Nut, but it looks like the other one, which we call Nancy, is not in a good position for him to just climb past. Nope. She turned around while he was killing the Bokoblin.
Yeah, I saw her turning, and I thought this might work, but I think he's going to get hit off. Oh,
Nope.
Barely got it.
Just made it.
Yeah. Yeah, she can
Good
hit you,
spider skip
like,
there.
while you're, even, like, when you're climbing over, like, she can hit you off the top. It's crazy.
Then Pigeon doing early monkeys. Looks good. Here's Mid's Forest Temple back in time. That looks like the right frame. Then, since TGD did that, he can cross the monkey chain immediately and proceed to Ook's room for the Gale Boomerang.
Yeah, this saves a few minutes over doing another method where you would, like, clip into the bridge, which is something that no save and quit would use. You can kind of clip into the bridges off to the west and, sort of go backwards through the room towards Ook.
Yep, the Wii Speedrun also does that because, or at least some of the Wii Speedruns also do that because doing early monkeys like that actually locks us out of completing the rest of Forest Temple, which most of the Wii any percent runs need to do. Pigeon going for the backup here since he can't climb straight past Nancy. Looks good. That Deku Nut throw can be somewhat unreliable. Meanwhile, TGD completing a 1 cycle on Ook with the Master Sword. Then we might see Midna go for a spider skip here. Let's see how that goes.
Looks like it's good.
It's technically possible to climb straight past both spiders, although that's generally reserved for tool-assisted speedruns where you have RNG manipulation on your side.
Yeah, if you don't have RNG manipulation, I guess you could like wait until they're in a good position, but you probably
I think you
you
also sometimes see that in Forest Temple individual level speedruns.
Yeah.
It's like Zach not getting good luck from Nancy here. Choosing to just wait it out instead of dropping down and finding the other Deku Nut.
Yeah, and you'll notice he waited until she stopped turning, kind of when she was going, I guess, clockwise. I think if you start moving before she like finishes, if she's facing certain directions, she'll kind of turn and look at you immediately.
Yep, Zach Link wisely not going for a side hop to that last torch because the Skulltula is too close and he would have just targeted it. Mid getting decent RNG from Ook there. His number of hops before he throws the boomerang is random, although 3 is the most common.
Yeah, I forget exactly. I want to say it's like 50-50 every hop past the second one, whether he stops.
I'm not certain.
I forget the exact details. I know that
Madeline
Decomp
would know.
figured it out at some point. But
then TGD now doing Forest Escape. That's a long jump attack with the boomerang that allows us to get out of Fair and Twilight without completing either the Twilight or the Forest Temple, which normally the game won't let us do. But similarly to Sword and Shield Skip, we can jump over the Midna text trigger that would have us walk back into Fair Woods.
And so, generally, next up on the agenda is to go ahead and finish both of the Twilights, at least on the Empty Lake Highway route. We just want to keep the Twilights pretty much as fast as possible. So there's going to be a lot of wolf movement and a few tricks here.
Yep, we just saw TGD do another LJ, this time using the boomerang out of bounds to skip talking to the postman.
Yeah, and all of our runners, I believe, are doing some variant of a gorge route, and so all of them are going to be going for a one-frame trick called Gorge Void, which you can try to time based on like a particular visual cue after you get this portal that TGD is about to go to. And getting it will save around a minute or so.
Yep, we're going to be trying to use that one-frame window to break out of the sequence where we're learning map warping from Midna. Normally that would force us to warp back to Fair and Woods, but we don't want to go back there quite yet. We want to go to Kakariko Village first.
Yeah, we do want the map warp, but we don't want to have the forced warp. So we'll, if our runners get Gorge Void, which I guess TGD is going to try to...
TGD is going for the human version. Yeah, it's a different strategy where you can either do a jump attack or put on the iron boots on the Gorge Void frame. Kind of gives you 2 frames to do it, and unfortunately looks like he was not successful. So Midna will force him to warp back to South Farron, and that'll mean at some point he has to do that whole sequence of LJing out of Farron Woods and running to the gorge again, which as Jaquade said, loses about a minute. Here's Zach's Farron escape.
If you do get Gorge Void, you'll go ahead and do some tricks to get to Kakariko, and then after getting the portal, you go back and get Map Warp, because like I was saying, we do actually want Map Warp for a trick later in the run. It's technically not required, but it's very difficult to do as human to skip it.
Try impossible. No human is ever going to do that.
Practically impossible, right, exactly.
Yeah, your options for completing the game are either get map warping, mash A and B frame perfectly for about 5 seconds, or complete Temple of Time. So we're going to get map warping.
Right.
TG unfortunately failing fair and escape there, just didn't get quite enough distance on that LJA.
Yeah, the way that you would skip map orb is by doing a trick called universal map delay. And so it basically is just you pull up the map and then just press A and B alternating frame perfectly to delay the map from coming up. And doing that would essentially allow us to, I guess, warp the cannon away with the map and therefore skip Temple of Time. But it's very difficult to do.
Yep, you can see that in a TP tool-assisted speedrun. The current best-known all dungeons route also does a 2-frame UMD for a trick we'll see later in Snow Peak. But that one's much easier.
Yeah, that one is actually human possible, which is nice.
It's not even that hard. I've done it.
Yeah, I guess Pigeon must have gotten Gorge.
Let's see. Zach and Midnaland, hopefully getting a synchronized Gorge Void here.
Midna got it, but Zach did not, and I imagine that Zach is not the happy camper right now.
No, TGD getting hassled getting a little bit hassled while trying to clip through the Lanira gate. There we go. As we'll see in this run, we don't take gates very seriously in Twilight Princess speedrunning. Then Mid now setting up for Rupee roll.
Right, and Pigeon was trying to go for it earlier. Unfortunately, failed. I guess he didn't target high enough on the fence. We'll see if Midna can do it here. That looks all right.
Yep, we're grabbing that Rupee in the boomerang and then doing an LJ on top of that fence and using the Rupee text to cancel our momentum. Let's see if Pigeon gets it second time.
Pigeon, barely fast enough. I thought that was going to be too slow.
That looks good.
Midna's being very cautious with the movement here.
Yep, one wrong move there and you just fall into the gorge and get to try it all again.
Yeah.
That looks good.
Good to take the time to aim sometimes. I don't do that, but it's definitely more consistent to just, look at a visual cue and throw the boomerang that way.
Then, meanwhile, TGD is starting the kind of pre-Lanira Twilight sequence here. He's going to be trying to go for a quick cycle on this Kargrak.
Yeah, it's faster to kind of flip backwards into Lanayru rather than going through the normal way because we skip a few fields of just running in a straight line. Going
into Lanayru by the normal route requires completing a lot of story stuff we haven't done yet too.
Oh yeah, I guess in this version of the game it would be even slower.
Yep. It's a little different on HD.
Yeah, because HD enters Lanayru Twilight for the most part, the intended way later on. But yeah, I guess on that version it saves like 30 seconds or so, I think, to go this way, but this will save more GameCube.
TGD clipping the Kargrak out of bounds here to avoid a bend in the flight path, saves a few seconds. Then Mid, meanwhile, on her way back to the gorge to hit the trigger to finish the map warping sequence, and that she is ready to go back to South Farron. And Pigeon only a few seconds behind.
I want to point out how undaunted Pigeon was in running around the KB1 trigger there. That was very fast. I'm usually very cautious with that.
There's a large trigger behind that gate for starting the first King Bolin 1 fight, which we don't want to do. That trigger appears after we get the Iron Boots, but of course we got the Iron Boots early, so it's always there. Looks like Zach will be going for the Karg drowning strategy.
Yeah.
And barely avoiding getting grabbed.
If you get grabbed there, it will crash the game. I think that if you react instantly, you may be able to soft reset or something. I don't remember the exact details, but yeah, it's very difficult. So most of the time, if you get grabbed, you're just gonna end up crashing. I think
then we saw TGD with another 1-frame text ship. Here's Pigeon and Midland doing a synchronized fair and escape, hopefully. Good card clip from Zach as well.
Zach is like very bold with how much he hugs the wall in this. I don't think I've
Good
seen
fair and
anybody
escapes
else
from
hug
both.
the wall more. Anyway.
Then now Pigeon and Mid are finally ready to go to Lanairu. Since TGD and Zach failed Gord's Void, they're kind of going on a different route here, so it's not directly comparable. I'd estimate Pigeon and Mid are still kind of out in front a little bit.
Yeah, TGD and Zach will have to, after they get the Zora's Domain warp portal, warp back to South Faron, do Faron escape again, which takes a while, and then just, run across the field, do mail and skip again, and then do all of that to get to Rupee Roll, which is why it's so slow.
Yep. Let's see how the Lanairu Gate does for Mid and Pigeon here. Very nice for Mid and Alon. And Pigeon, unfortunately, getting a jump attack instead of a side hop there. And taking a little longer. This clip is a little bit position sensitive, so it can take a couple tries to get it right. There he goes. So then this is actually where we're going to see our first major route difference, because Midland is playing on a pillar clip route. So she's actually going to go directly to Lakebed Temple to start with. We can only do this trick right now when Lake Hylia is in this low water state. So we'll see the other three using a different method to get into Lakebed Temple much later in the run.
Yeah, there are other ways, I think, to get into Lakebed with high water, but they involve, well, actually, I don't know if GameCube can even do them, honestly, with the...
GameCube can't do the mid-dive. It can do another couple things. Yeah. Let's see how this pillar clip works. Kind of a funky camera angle there, but I think it'll be good, assuming she has enough air left. That should should work. This looks alright.
Should be enough air, as long as she... Yeah.
Little sketchy with the tap swimming there, but got it done. Then, because Mid has Master Sword, she'll be able to save warp here to immediately go to the Lakebed Temple entrance.
Right. She's gonna go ahead and get claw shot right now, and then be able to Uku back later after Lanairu, Twilight, and Snow Peak.
Yep.
We'll see later. The other runners are going to use a newer method of getting into Lakebed that should save a decent chunk of time. I want to say it's like within 20 seconds or something optimally.
I believe it's 18 seconds faster.
18 seconds, okay.
And good card round from Pigeon there. Nah, sir, there actually isn't much. There aren't any places where we could use the claw shot in between where Mid's getting it and where the rest of the runners will get it. There's only one place I can think of, and it's only if you fail a trick and have to back it up.
Oh, for waterfall setup?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see that in a bit.
Early claw shot is more relevant in other categories like 100%, so 100% is probably going to do pillar clip forever. It's not really a safety, it's just a different route. Some runners prefer pillar clip over the other tricks that we'll see the other three runners doing. I'd say they're about equal in difficulty. And TGD finally making it over to Kakariko Village. So he's actually still a bit ahead of Pigeon, despite the Gorge Void difference. Probably, because Pigeon failed Rupee Roll. That doesn't help. And I think TGD had a faster Sword and Shield skip as well. But it's a lot closer than it looked when they were in Lanairu Twilight. Good Rupee Roll from Zach here. that little careful there on the out of bounds movement. Again, it's very easy to kind of slide off and fall down. And Midland doing some double LJAs to get over to Deku-Toad's room. Since she still has the boss flag set from early monkeys earlier, she'll be able to go through this kind of back door to Deku-Toad's room and be able to start the fight from there.
Yeah, you can just kind of look up at the ceiling, and the game will just let you start the fight, which is very nice.
Meanwhile, TGD starting on Elden Twilight. We're going to kill this first bug and then use a clip, possible because we can transform to get into the Sanctuary basement from the other side, which skips a long cutscene and some wolf movement sequences.
These tadpoles can be very annoying, as you can see.
Yep.
I'll be interested to see if Midna goes for... Oh, there's still one alive.
The tadpoles are extremely annoying today.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if she goes for the strat that we use for the Beast Ganon hits, or if she does...
I believe that's what she does.
Strat. Interesting.
This might not work.
No, it was a little too
unfortunately,
slow.
a little late on starting the attacks there.
Yeah, it's
So
definitely
she'll need another
easier
cycle on
to do it
Deku-Toad.
that way. It's easier to do it that way than just 10 normal slashes, but it's still not completely free.
Yep, I think the normal slashes are a tiny bit faster, so some runners just keep doing that if they're already used to it. But I feel like most of the new people are doing that that different combo. It's a little more lenient. Then TGD doing a manipulation to get the Malmart bug to come down early. Looks like the three ALH runners are pretty close to each other in the Twilight, or Elden Twilight.
Yeah, and Elden Twilight is a very movement-heavy segment. As you're going to see actually here, TGD is going to probably one of the more difficult buildings in this run, I would say. In Elden is notoriously annoying in this segment.
Yep, lots of really tight movement in here. Good first bug there. Then a bug on the counter.
Right, because that makes it so that the bug upstairs will go ahead and start flying around, which is nice.
Yep, if you don't do that, it's just kind of up on the wall. And now he has to make it back out.
Yeah,
good
notably,
jump down
TGD,
to avoid the boxes.
Skipping the yellow rupee that's in that area, I guess, because he's on French.
Yeah, exactly.
I think maybe they timed that rupee to lose a tiny amount of time over like doing some other rupees optimally, but I think a lot of people will.
Yeah, I'm not certain. I expect we'll see Zach grab it here.
Yeah. Although I think Zach is one of the people who's telling me that it might be slower, so I'm not sure if he is going to grab it. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyways, Mid's now done with Lakebed Temple, so she'll go on to go up through Lanayru and get the Zora's Domain warp portal like the other three runners already have.
Zach, interestingly, opting to do a mid charge on that bug there, rather than just be attacks. Well, I think Zach was trying to get the rupee, but kind of messed it up, and so now he'll be skipping it.
Yeah, not sure.
It looked like he was attacking towards the wall, just missed the wall, so...
And Pigeon having a little trouble with that bug. And a little trouble with target priority.
Yeah, as I was saying, there's just a lot of stuff going on in Elden, and so there's just so many things that can go wrong.
Yep, it definitely doesn't help that you can target one of those Boblins through the wall. And we just saw TGD do Bomb House skip, or he's halfway through it anyways.
Yeah,
doing
TGD
a precise
did
jump.
Doing
a precise jump to skip the animation of that bug running across and then killing it before it enters the house. Allows us to skip a long sequence. Sorry, Jaquade.
No, it's fine. He was doing it as human, which is a little bit easier. We may see... I'm guessing that Zach will try to do it as Wolf, which saves a few seconds. I forget exactly how much. I want to say it's like 6 or so. Depending on how fast you do it, I guess. Don't quote me on that. It is faster to do it as Wolf, though.
Yep, and of course that's the only way to do it on the Wii version where you can't do the boomerang long jump attacks.
Yeah.
Looks like Zach will be attempting Wolf Bomb House skip.
Right, you do this
position
kind of
set up.
precise movement to end up on the fence and then just jump from there, pretty much.
And that looks good.
Very clean from Zach right there.
Yep, that movement afterwards to collect the tiers is a little harder than it looks. I think it's something like some of the collision for the house is still present, so there are some invisible walls around it. If you get very unlucky, you can actually void out. Which hopefully won't see that for anybody today. Here's Pigeon going for human bomb house skip with the long jump attack. And Zach, unfortunately, getting the blue rupee there. Normally, you want to avoid picking that up and then use a side hop to try to collect it without seeing the rupee text.
Nice one-framer by Zach there. You'll notice that in any spot where you're like digging through something, you have a frame before like Midna lands on your back whenever you exit the little dig spot that you can go ahead and dash. It saves a little time every time that you get it. So,
and TGD done with the Death Mountain Messenger fight.
I think there should be another dig spot on the way to the Snow Peak, and you can see it from Pigeon here whether or not he gets it. He didn't get it, unfortunately. But
yep, just a tiny bit slower.
Right.
TGD unfortunately missing the jump up to that ledge and subsequently missing the steam cycle. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I don't really know when the timing starts on the steam cycle. Is it like when you skip this cutscene here, or is it just all the way up Death Mountain Trail or something?
I'm not sure. I know somebody knows the answer because the Taskmaster was asking about it a while back, but I can't remember what he ended up finding out.
Yeah. I know it's active during the Shadow Beast fight at the very least, so you kind of want to get a clean Shadow Beast fight to make it easier to get the cycle.
The voice in the back of my head is saying it's like when you like load the area.
Yeah.
It's like when you come around this curve here, but I'm not certain. Anyways, TGD now on his way to start Lanayru Twilight proper.
Yeah, and since we got the Zora's Domain portal earlier, we can kind of just go grab the meteor and immediately, jump in like halfway through Lanayru Twilight before the vessel.
Yep, normally there's supposed to be, Goron mines and some other stuff in between having the meteor fall and warping it to Zora's Domain. So on the English runners, screens, we'll see Bidda tell them that the rock has been there for a while before they warp it. Just a sign of the kind of sequence breaks we've already managed to do.
I don't know, it was like a few seconds. That's, a while in some frames of reference, I'm sure.
Definitely. Let's see if TGD gets a side hop here. Unfortunately missed it. There's one frame for a side hop after that cutscene where you can avoid this text here.
Yeah, interestingly, I think it also keeps the mini-map from, like, filling the lake.
It does.
Kind of interesting. Yeah. TGD remembering not to do waterfall side hop on the first time you go through the waterfall.
Yep, this is another one of those areas that we go through multiple times, and every TP runner has done a trick we'll see in a minute to jump down to the side instead of just proceeding directly to the vessel.
Yeah, I want to say Ukyo actually did that recently. It might have been, was it yesterday?
Yeah, I believe he did that in his pools race yesterday.
Yeah.
I've done it in several PB attempts.
Yeah, it's definitely easy to forget which pass you're going through the same room, as you were saying.
Yep, and in both cases we saw the runners jump down into the middle of the river with the iron boots. That avoids a rather long cutscene of talking to Vertella, who will tell them how to get the Zora armor, which I imagine they won't be getting. Then Lanayru Twilight is by far the longest Twilight, so we'll be here for probably about 10 minutes.
Yeah, Yeah, the longest Twilight with some of the more annoying Shadow Beast fights. I mean, I guess at least this one is kind of not very fun.
Yeah, some runners say they're fine with it. I consistently have trouble with this one.
It's probably the worst one that we do in any percent, I would say. But
yeah, none of them are as bad as the Sacred Grove one, but that's not in any percent.
oh, I don't think the Sacred Grove one is that bad. The worst one
one.
I know of is the Mesa one. Is like actually really frustrating because the shadows start kind of close together.
You're right. I'd like to change my answer.
But I think only 100% gets that. So, I guess glitchless probably gets it too. But
and low transforms.
And low transforms. Yeah, I guess we're going.
Anyways, we just
extra
saw
categories a lot.
We just saw TGD kind of hesitate before warping to Zora's domain to make sure he'd actually collected the tier before the warp. You can warp away too early there, which is very unfortunate. And being careful with that charge attack to avoid charge attacking into that Rutella cutscene we were talking about earlier.
Didn't want to get wolfed Rutella skip, I guess. I'm sure that would be slower since
for it anyways.
I think like the second time going through doing wolf Rutella skip.
You wouldn't want to do that.
You can't get the tier before going out, I think, anyway.
Yep. Anyways, let's see
TGD's. Do the side hop.
Let's see TGD's waterfall side hop here. It's a 3-frame window for that side hop to... Nope.
Very nice.
I think that was the first frame. There's a bug up on this cliff here that normally you have to spend a long time jumping up to. We'll see. I imagine some runners will go for the safer strat using the iron boots there instead of going for the side hop.
Yeah, I would expect to see Midna probably do the iron boot strat, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, we'll see. Depends on what everybody's confidence level with it is. PG having a very hard time with the lily pad bugs here. They can be quite frustrating. Then looks like mid just finishing up bomb house skip here. Looks good.
Man, these bugs are so awful.
Yeah, this is pretty bad as lily pad bugs go.
Yeah, I think pretty much every TPE runner has had that sort of experience with the lily pad bugs. They're just not fun.
Let's see if Pigeon attempts waterfall side hop.
Interestingly,
nope, he's instead chosen to put on the iron boot. Oh,
whoa!
Oh, I've never seen that before.
New undiscovered tech. I'm sure that's slower than just doing it the normal way, but
yeah, I assume it's more consistent.
Yeah, so kind of running around the left side,
like lets you get a good. Yeah, this is not how I see anybody do that section.
Yeah, very, very novel.
Much cleaner lily pad bugs than TGD had.
Yeah, I think Zach also had kind of pretty nice lily pad bugs. It is possible to get both of them in the same attack at like the very start, but it's kind of rare, difficult.
Yep. It looks like Zach's been doing pretty well with RNG rupees as well. 47 at this point in the run is just about what you'd want to see.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see which of the rupees after finishing Linear Twilight Zach goes for. There's a couple that you can get on the way down to Isa in the Empty Lake Hylia route, but I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be
one or both of them.
It'll be interesting to see if he goes for both of them. Anyways, both of them now running to Castletown. This is just about a minute straight of dashing in a straight line. Meanwhile, mid is just about done with Elven Twilight.
Yeah, we mentioned lag reduction earlier. These big linear Twilight areas, because of all of I think because of the particle effects, they're very laggy if you have the camera facing up. So both Zach and TG kind of have the camera facing down, which is nice because they don't really have to look where they're going anywhere. They're just going in a straight line, so it's easy.
Yeah, you can see where you're going from the start, so you just make sure you're pointed in the right direction and then pan the camera back and, mash A for a minute.
Yeah, especially in the second area before the Castle Time Warp Portal. I mean, you can literally you don't have to change your direction at all. You just hold
Yep,
straight
that's what
forward,
I
and
do.
as long as the Bulblin is not in the way, then you don't have to like change your direction at all, which is super nice.
TGD making quick work of the Castletown messengers. Then Pigeon's still close behind them, probably, I don't know, 45 seconds or so.
Interesting by Zach not doing what I think would be the normal way of doing the Castletown Warp Portal.
Yeah, I think there are a couple different strategies people use for that one.
Yeah, I think
I
most
usually do closer to
people
what TGD used for it.
right, which I think most people do is they just mid to charge out of the cutscene to get the first one that's right there, and then go grab the one that's further away to mid to charge the other two. But Zach did it differently.
As we can see them now moving through Castletown, Wolflink's dash speed varies depending on what area in the game you're in, and then it's at its slowest in Castletown. So they're actually repeatedly dashing and then immediately canceling that dash with a B attack. If you do something to cancel a dash within the first 10 frames, your dash timer resets and you can just do it again.
Oh,
And in
is it
Castletown, it's
10?
our fastest wolf movement. Yeah, 10 frames, 1/3 of a second.
Okay. I was wondering because I thought that you said 11 the other day, so I just wasn't sure.
If I did, I was wrong.
Okay, so it's 10. Good to know.
I have been known to say the wrong number before. It could have happened.
Yeah.
Then we'll see. I assume Mid is actually going to just walk out with Iron Boots here. No, I'm wrong. This is the first pass through the area. See how easy it is? It could happen to you.
It's a little bit more difficult when you're, trying to split your eyes between 4 different runners and remember where everyone is. But
Yeah, as I'm doing more of these, I'm learning that watching 4 speedruns at once is actually a skill that requires practice.
yeah, even if you go cross-eyed, you can really only see 2 at the same time.
Anyways, TGD and Zach now on the Kargarok flight bugs here.
It's interesting by
Fairly-
TGD going above these rocks. I've seen some runners go below. I'm not sure which one is faster.
Yeah, I imagine it's just whatever you're comfortable with.
Right.
It's like or Zach is going down for that.
Well, I used to go above, but I saw some
Yeah,
people
I
going
usually
below,
go.
so I started
I
doing
usually
that.
go up.
Yeah. I think it's a little easier
Anyways,
to go up, but I think
in both cases,
that's
they're telling Midna that they don't want to try the flight again because they've already got all the bugs, and we actually need to end up at the dock here over by this one. There's no other easy way to make it over there.
yeah, it's sort of interesting. I wonder if the developers were intending for you to like actually end up failing it once to end up by this bug because there's no other easy way to get over to it.
I believe that actually the answer is you're intended to do the flight coming down from Upper Zora's River.
Oh, interesting.
That's what I did when I played this casually. Anyways, we'll see. I assume we'll see TGD trying to do a quick strat on the boss bug here. He's using the camera to manipulate it into attacking from a specific direction, since it only attacks when it's on screen.
Zach is doing the same thing, it looks like.
Yep.
It's slightly faster to keep the bug on screen the whole time, because then he attacks as soon as he can, rather than... He won't attack unless he's, like, on your screen, basically.
Yep, it can make doing those backflips a little harder.
Right, but it's definitely... It's more consistent to just, like, hold the camera where you want the bug to show up and start attacking from.
TG unfortunately missing that jump attack, so he's got to wait for the bug to come down and do its normal attack there. That's what we were trying to skip.
Yeah, by doing this little double back hop and then a couple jump attacks, you can kind of interrupt his attack and hit him before he goes all the way back up.
Yep, and then by doing that charge attack from a precise position on the bug, we can cancel the animation of Link trying to hit all 6 of its tentacles there. Mid, unfortunately, having a little trouble with the UZR wall bug. That one can be frustrating.
It's probably good that she didn't get the mid to charge there, because I think that she probably would have jumped into the cutscene if she did.
Yep. TGD and Zach still within a few seconds exiting Linera Twilight.
Okay, we'll
Now
see
this
what-
time Minda probably is actually going to put the iron boots on and walk out of the river.
Oh, looks like she's
Oh
going
my
for
God.
waterfall side hop. So everybody
And
did.
she makes it.
Wow. So we had, I think, 4 for 4 on waterfall side hop, which is very nice.
Yeah, very, very nice.
Being careful with the movement there, though. It's very easy
Absolutely.
to bonk on the edge and fall all the way down. I've definitely done that before.
Yep, if you do that, I believe it's fastest to save warp and end up back at the top, but it's not something you want to be doing.
Yeah.
Then looks like Zach did get both rupees. We've seen both him and TGD fall down from Zora's Domain in a way to take 2 hearts of damage on purpose. We're going to need to death warp for a trick coming up in a few minutes.
Yeah. That movement from the top of Zora's Domain to get both of those rupees looks like not that complicated, but it's actually quite difficult.
Yeah, you got to have a very precise angle. As we'll see, TGD and Zach both getting this Howling Stone to spawn the Golden Wolf outside Castletown, because we do need to learn the ending blow.
Yeah, and if anyone enjoyed the rupee movement that Zach did there, you will probably also enjoy the movement that he will be trying to do on the way down to Snow Peak, which is a little bit faster than jumping into the water.
Yep. Let's see what Pigeon does here. He's on French, so he won't need to pick up any rupees. And just jumping straight down. Looks good.
Very nice. Yeah, I guess Zach has completely caught up to TGD.
Yeah, they're still neck and neck here. So the next thing we're going to see both runners do is try to steal Isa's bomb bag and then duplicate it. We're going to transform to human and then talk to Isa to activate the Upper Zoras River Messenger fight. Do a precise position setup here to be able to start the fight as Wolf. Normally Isa won't let you transform there, but you can get behind the sign here. And they're basically perfectly synced now.
Yeah, I guess nobody is probably going to do the old setup with all box movement, but oh well.
Yeah, somebody was doing that, and it might have been Anarchus.
I do that.
Oh, there we go.
I don't know if Anna does it, but...
Anyways, we'll now see them doing a very precise sequence of attacks to defeat the messengers without using the bid to charge, which we don't have access to right now. It's like TGD barely missed it. So Zach will pull ahead a bit here.
Yep. Oh, no. Oh, that's frustrating.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for TGD there.
Do you know if
Since
you have to... Go ahead, sorry.
Since he did that intentional damage strat, he's, on 1 heart going into this sequence, so he can't get hit by the messengers. Good 1-frame side hop out of the Howling Stone cutscene by Pigeon there.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you have to talk to Midna, or talk to Isa again.
You do not.
You do not, apparently. That's good to know.
But TGD has anyways. Anyways, what we've just seen Zach do is, since he's Wolf there, after he gets pulled into Isa's hut, he can just warp away directly. But by warping to UZR again, he gets pulled back in. And the way that whole sequence works is, normally when you go into Isa's hut for the first time, she lends you a bomb bag. And this kind of stores what was in your inventory when you started. But by doing it twice, we can store, have the game store that we already had a bomb bag. And therefore be able to duplicate it and get a bomb bag that will stay in our inventory even if we die, save, or finish a dungeon. Anyway, we just saw Zach do a nice cutscene skip there to avoid the cutscene of Plum coming down and telling him about the balloon minigame, which he already knows about. Next, he'll be doing a setup to try to get out of bounds in the minigame, which you're normally not supposed to be able to do.
Yep, and game overing out of bounds here, which is why we damaged down earlier, will allow us to carry the minigame state essentially over into Lake Hylia here, which will, kind of break Lake Hylia a little bit, and so it'll be empty, which is how we get into Lake Bed.
Exactly. So now we can see that there is no water in Lake Hylia. Unfortunately, we can't just go walk into Lake Bed Temple because the entrance is high above the ground. We're going to need to do a very precise bomb boost to get in there. We'll see Zach do a position setup here. Shoutouts to Nimzo.
Yeah, I'm sort of curious how many people are still like doing the other way rather than doing the setup.
I'm not sure anybody goes for that the first time. I've seen people use it as backup. Very clean enter lake bed from Zach there. That's about as good as you can do that.
Yeah, it was very fast too. Sometimes it can be difficult to get ESS position for some of the side hops, and so it can take a little bit. But
and in fact, he has golded his enter lake bed segment by 13 seconds.
Very nice.
So congratulations, Zach Link. Let's see if TGD gets the out of bounds here. Looks good. Since he is on 3 hearts, you'll have to jump into the void a couple times to finally game over. And then we'll see Zach, and we'll see everybody, but currently Zach's doing it. We'll see him dropping bombs during this first pass through Lake Bed Temple. We eventually need water bombs for a trick we'll see later. But we need to get the 30 normal bombs out of the bomb bag before we can fit those. And in this route, we do that just by dropping them on our way through Lake Bed Temple. Couple LJs there to skip knocking down the stalactites from the ceiling. We could do that because we have bombs and the boomerang, but this is just a little bit faster. And see Pigeon's bomb boost. Looks good.
Nice.
So both of them have managed to get a slight edge over TGD here.
Oh, no,
Zach, what was that? Water. That's unfortunate.
He got sword recoil, I guess, off of the top of the
I'm not sure
awning.
what he got. Yeah, it must have been. He's trying to do a neat double LJA there to get to Decotoad's room without having to turn the bridge a few times. But
yeah, I want to point out the other day that he told me that like this new way that everybody's doing the double LJA, everybody just has down and can never fail it. But apparently it's possible to still fail. But anyway, there is a way to do this where you aim at the top of the awning that's above that one. But I guess people don't
I do
that
this setup.
anymore. Yeah.
All right, good the second time. So he's still ahead.
Yeah, it might have been like a weird... I don't think the targets were bad. It might have just been a weird timing thing with where the boomerang was when he did the second LJA.
Then we can see him do that same double LJ to Decotoad that Midna did earlier.
Hopefully we'll see a strat from Zach here, since we have the boomerang and bombs, where we can sort of zero cycle the toad. It is very difficult, but I think Zach has gotten it before, so we might get it again.
Yep, we saw some of those earlier today in the other pool races. Let's see. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like he got the bomb out in time, so we'll have to do the fight normally. You can see him getting rid of most of the rest of the bombs at this point. And he's going for the 10 slashes strategy here. Looks good. TGD going for the other setup for this double LJ. And he makes it.
Yeah, you want to save at least one bomb for the end of the Decotoad fight in case you mess up the sword slashes, so that you can just get the next cycle like a lot faster.
Yep, and then Mid on her way to do the same bomb duping strategy we saw earlier, although she'll be going to Snow Peak Ruins afterwards instead of directly back to Lake Bed. Pigeon unfortunately failing the... Yep. Anyway, Zach has now collected... Ooh! TGD gets the 0 cycle. Very nice.
We
You
also
can see
saw
with the
Pigeon
bomb there,
get
he
the,
skips the sequence of killing the tadpoles.
yeah. We also saw Pigeon get the quick, extra cycle by saving a bomb for that, which is
Yep.
nice.
So TGD only a couple seconds behind now. As I was saying, Zachlink has now collected water bombs, so he finally has everything he needs to fight Morpheal. We're going to see him do an LJ to get on the bridge here, and then do a setup to clip into the railing. And from there make his way to Morpheal's arena. This allows us to skip the Lakebed Temple boss key. Which is otherwise quite far out of our way.
This is actually the only boss key that we can skip for dungeons that we finish, because pretty much every other...
We skip several boss keys by not going to the boss to begin with, but...
Yes. But pretty much, I think actually every other boss loading zone is tied to opening the door. So this is the only one that we can skip, and thankfully there's a way to clip in.
Anyways, we'll see now is Zachlink doesn't have the Zora armor, so he's going to need to manage his air meter during this fight. It's only 16 seconds long, which normally isn't long enough to defeat Morpheal. Very tight.
There is no way. I do not believe that he actually got that bomb pulled. That's insane.
That's ridiculous. Anyways, with that bomb, he's now swimming with the water bomb, which the game doesn't normally let you do, but he can do it by force unequipping the iron boots by putting them on and then equipping another item over them. And if he's swimming with that bomb when he drops it, Link will enter a standing animation for a couple frames, and that's long enough to allow the game to refill his air meter because it thinks he must be standing on land. So we'll see in a second he'll drop the bomb and his air meter will fill back up.
He doesn't get that.
Very
RNG
strange
for
claw shot there.
Yeah, he was going for, like, he dropped the bomb very late and pulled it very late, and so he didn't have the RNG for it this time. But
yep, if Morpheal cooperates, you can defeat it only using one water bomb, but he'll need at least two here.
Right, this time Morpheal just didn't swim under him enough to make it work.
Anyways, I assume we'll see him attempt a re-grab here. Doing that same Iron Boots unequip to get off Morpheal's back early, and very nice.
That was a very interesting re-grab, to say the least.
Yeah, I'm very surprised that worked. I wouldn't have gone for that one.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, you pull up the item wheel to force unequip Iron Boots when Morpheal's head is facing down. Morpheal is very much facing up there, so it's very sketchy to do it that way. Like, sometimes it'll work and sometimes it won't. But anyway.
And this looks like Pigeon and TGD are still pretty synced in Morpheal. Then we'll see Midland going up to Snow Peak Ruins. Now, normally at this point in the game, there's a blizzard happening in Snow Peak, and you need the Reekfish scent to find your way through it. We don't have it. We can't get it. So instead, what we're going to do is pull the map and talk to Midna on the same frame to activate what we call Map Glitch, which disables loading triggers and void planes, allowing us to make our way through the Snow Peak Blizzard without voiding out. There are a couple other ways to do that, but this is the fastest for any percent. Well, this is the easiest for any percent. There's a trick called Wolfo's Super Jump, which Duquaid will be familiar with from HG, that is technically faster, but it's very difficult.
Yeah, never do that if you don't have to.
No.
I think the Japanese version has to because it can't do map glitch, but it's not ideal.
Then good Morpheal regrab from Pigeon.
Oh yeah, Beast has a good point, because Midna does not have Midna on back.
I've forgotten this before.
Yeah, so you have to have Midna on back in the overworld areas in order to be able to do the super jump there, because you need to be able to Midna charge, and Midna has not actually beaten Midna's Desperate Hour yet, and so she does not have that option. So that's a good point.
Yep. The three other runners would be able to Wolfo's Super Jump, but I imagine we won't see that today because the trick's stupid.
Yes, it's very silly. It's technically not RNG, but it's not easy either.
Anyway, Zach is the first into Bindo's Desperate Hour. He's running to Castletown again because it was so fun the first time. And as we just saw, Midland howl at the Howling Stone there to deactivate map glitch, allowing her to exit the area. If you forget to do that and dig into the dig spot here with map glitch still active, it's a soft block.
Yes, and you can't even save work because
Nope.
it'll say can't skip if you try to pause. It would be kind of funny to go get shield attack and like actually howl through that stone. But we'd have to do a lot of extra stuff to even do that in the first place, unfortunately.
Well, and Midland hasn't completed. Or no, I'm silly. That's not where that wolf spawns. But yes, we would have to do a lot of extra stuff.
Doesn't it spawn in Graveyard?
It does spawn in Graveyard. I was thinking of
Yeah.
the Origin one because that's the one you get Shield Bash from in 100%.
Oh yeah. I'm not sure you'd be able to get that one either.
Anyways, Midland opting here to fight the Snow Peak Messengers instead of skipping them. This loses a bit of time, but it will make the snowboarding section a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, everybody else down to Midland's Desperate Hour.
To finish the thought, not that it particularly matters, but with the shield attack stuff, if you wanted to get that wolf in Kakariko, you would actually have to either beat King Bulblin 1 or get the Zora armor, and obviously we haven't done either of those anyway.
Yep.
Shield attack does not save any time, so...
Midland, unfortunately, having some trouble with the messengers here.
Yeah, Beast, getting Zora armor should set you in the state of like having beaten King Bulblin 1, I believe.
Yeah, it would only depend on what map layer Graveyard is on, I assume.
Right. I know that like getting Zora armor works for getting the Silver Rupee and the Bell, even if you haven't beaten King Bulblin 1, and I believe it's the same for getting the wolf in the Graveyard.
Well, I've learned something today.
I could very quickly, if you give me a second, I'll check the state calculations just to make sure.
Anyway, Zach about to collect his first postal of the 4 that he'll be picking up during this run. Technically, only this one is required, but skipping the other 3 takes 9 hours and 40 minutes, so we won't see it in these any percent runs today.
Okay, so I have checked.
Snowboarding.
I have checked, and getting Zora armor does set. So it's state 2 that you want, basically. And so beating King Bulblin 1 sets that. Watching the cutscene after Goron Mines also sets that. And then getting the Zora armor also sets that. So if you do any of those 3, then you'll be in the right state to be able to get that level.
Also, we just saw TGD get Louise glitch, a precise B attack into that cutscene with Louise the cat that skips some camera movement. And I think that might have actually put him in front of Pigeon. That's funny. I assume it wasn't the only thing. Another thing for Midland, since she didn't skip the messengers, these rupees on the snowboarding track have spawned, so she was able to get an extra 20 there. Zach manipulating that Bulblin archer to a point where he can knock it into the water to kill it, and doing a precise jump to skip some ropes in the first section of MDH Tower. Then I believe Midland does Ice Clip for Snow Peak. There are a couple different routes you can take through here.
I want to say Ice Clip is only slightly slower. So if people
yeah, but some runners find it more consistent than ladder freezer cancel.
Yeah, I don't remember how many frames it is on the first drop from the ladder. It may be frame perfect, but
it is frame perfect.
It takes a couple seconds to retry too.
Yep, so we'll see her do an LJA over the void to this. Oh, we'll see her do a non-long jump attack into the void.
Now she may walk to the side here a little bit before doing it again. Oh, she's gonna re-enter the room entirely. So, just to note, the position for the LJA is correct if you walk through this right door, which is why she's doing this again to reset her position. And off the void, you'll actually be in a slightly different spot, so that's why she wanted to reload the room.
Yep. I would have just walked a bit to the right there, but
Yeah, you can definitely make it work by walking to the side, but she will be going for Ice Clip, it looks like. So.
oh yeah, Zach. There's 10 rupees in the fireplace and in Zelda's room if you like be attack it to put the fire out.
Yeah, it would be hard to get during MDH. But
Anyways, we just saw mid. You go ahead and claw shot up through the floor that you're supposed to go into that room through, so it has no collision underneath it. And she's now clipped into this ice wall here, and can backflip out. Very nice to avoid getting frozen and avoid hitting any of the mini freezers there. Pigeon being a little careful setting up that jump at the start of MDH Tower. And meanwhile, Zach's made it to the Castletown Golden Wolf, where he'll be learning how to do the ending blow.
is claw shotting up those vines actually faster?
I have no idea.
I need to know now. Interesting setup from Midna here. I don't think
Yeah, I've seen a
this
few
before.
people do that. But she's trying to do some iframe abuse here to clip past that freezer and open the door to Darkhammer's room from the backside to load into the Snow Peak Ruins mini-boss fight. This will be a little sketchy for her because she only has 1 heart, and that's how much damage taking a hit from Darkhammer will do. And TGD, unfortunately, having a hard time with the floating bridge in Midna's Desperate Hour.
Thankfully, he spawned back in like the closer area. If you cut the
Yep,
corner
doesn't
enough,
always
you'll
happen.
spawn. Yeah, if you cut the corner enough, you spawn like at the stairs again, which is very, very annoying.
Pigeon almost getting bridged, but managing to make it work. The collision on that bridge is notoriously funky.
Yeah, the nice thing is if you void and get put closer to the bridge, that the cycle should be correct pretty much every time, and like not super hard to make.
As we just saw Zach Link spawn back in Farron Woods after getting the ending blow. That happens because we didn't get ending blow from the wolf in front of Forest Temple that spawns after you complete the Twilight, like the game expects. Call that a golden wolf wrong warp. Unfortunately, it's not really useful for speedruns. We'd like it better if it didn't happen.
Yeah, it actually also, if we didn't save warp in between and got like some other golden wolf that was supposed to be quote unquote later in like a casual playthrough, I think it would end up warping us here.
Yeah, I believe so.
Because of golden wolf storage. But Zach also just did some really cool movement down from CD, which I mentioned earlier, but I didn't think to mention it before he went down, unfortunately.
I really wish Golden Wolf Wrong Warp was useful for low transforms, but it just isn't. I was messing with that a while back. Anyways, we just saw Zach do map glitch. He'll be making his way up Snow Peak. Looks like I'm not sure what he's doing here, actually.
We're seeing Zach try to do map glitch. There we go.
Right,
now he's done map glitch.
We're seeing Zach have a little trouble with map glitch. Yeah, I don't know if he just wasn't confident in his button pressors or something. Normally, runners will buffer that by unplugging the controller, pressing D-pad right and Z, and plugging it back in.
Yeah, and it's super easy and doesn't waste any time to do the unplug strat there because you're going through a loading zone, so you don't actually have to do any inputs until you plug it back in.
Anyways, TGD and Pigeon still very close, leaving the ending blow sequence. Nice quick climb from Zach Link there. And Midlin is now back to finish Lakebed Temple. What we'll see her doing here is using a bomb to knock this stalactite down. And then she'll walk over to this waterfall to finish emptying the bomb bag. And then she'll pick up her water bombs from its other chest that happens to be conveniently located. And she's on her way to fight Morphil. Good map glitch from both TGD and Pigeon there. Still only a few seconds apart climbing Snow Peak. And Zach, maybe a minute or so ahead of both of them, already into the connection cave. And I assume we will see the other 3 runners attempting to skip that Snow Peak Messenger fight. We won't ever need to return to that warp portal.
End up doing like a slightly different setup for Bosky skip there. That was interesting.
Yep, it depends on which direction the bridge is turned. In Midna's route, the bridge ends up 180 degrees from where it was for the other runners, so you have to do a slightly different setup. Nice one-frame backflip from Zach entering the talking to Yeto sequence. Anyways, what you'll see here is since Zach did the LJ to skip the messenger fight there, the blizzard is still very much in effect, so he's going to have a much harder time seeing what he's doing during snowboarding. Thankfully, once you've run this game for a while, you can imagine Zach Link probably has the soul sequence down cold by now.
Get it cold. They're in peak. Anyway. Yeah, no, nobody has ever failed blind snowboarding ever, I'm sure.
Never happens.
It's completely free. Obviously. Cass noting that it is possible to go on a spiritual journey if you say yes to Yeto at the top of the mountain there, but Zach refused to do it.
Yep, it just means a little more text. Let's see how Midland does with Morpheal here. Good first grab. And TGD unfortunately getting harassed by the connection cave ice keys. They can be very frustrating. Good snowboarding from Zach.
That was sketchy, but then looks like she got Morpheal just fine. So.
Yep, and we saw Zach attempt to skip that mid-attack trigger with a couple precise jump attacks, but didn't quite make it. Now he's on into Snow Peak. I don't know what Snow Peak route to expect from him. We'll know in a second.
I would think that he would do ladder Freezard cancel, but we'll see.
I believe TGD generally does Ice Clip.
Okay,
Zach will be doing
ladder
off-C.
Freezard cancel. Yeah.
We're going to clip through the floor here. And move on into this kind of hallway section. And at the end of this, there's a ladder with a freezer at the top, which is supposed to prevent us from climbing all the way up, but with a one-frame drop off this ladder, we can manipulate it to stop its attack. Looks like Zach got that. There's an kind of audio cue you can use to know if you got it.
Yeah, and you also have to drop off the second time. And it's a lot looser in terms of the timing. It's not frame perfect, I believe. It's
yep,
like
I believe that's a
16
frame window, so a little more than half a second.
Yeah, so if you kind of just know like generally where to let go of the ladder, it's not too bad.
Then Zach trying to go for a faster version of that freezer skip, but not quite making it.
This is the only way I ever go for freezer skip. I feel like it's easier than some of the other methods, but
there are a couple different ways you can do it.
Yeah, it's kind of a matter of taste at a certain point.
And it looks like Zach will not be doing the Dark Hammer bomb strat. Don't know if we'll see that from anybody today.
How much time does that actually save with the extra?
I have no idea, but not much.
Yeah.
I don't go for it.
I feel like it makes the movement a little bit easier going around Dark Knight, or Dark Hammer, not Dark Knight. But it does, you do have to like actually equip the bombs, which is kind of slow. Pigeon running into the wall.
Yeah. The TTD's managed to pick up some time here. I'm not entirely sure what happened.
So I wasn't looking, but I'm guessing that Pigeon must have voided out. Because
I
he was ahead
assume
going
that
into
must have been
messenger
what
stream.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, the timing's about right for that. As we can see, TGD's ice clip. That looks good. And we've seen Zach pick up 200 rupees from these suits of armor in Snow Peak. On this route, that's kind of the fastest way to get them. Obviously, TGD playing on the French version won't have to do that, so he'll pick up a little time here over Zach.
Very nice floor clip by Pigeon there.
Yep, that's kind of a faster way to do it if you get the right angle coming down.
Also, TGD dying to the Freezard clip, unfortunately.
That's unfortunate. Pigeon might be able to take the lead back here.
If you do
It's still very close between.
I was going to ask, if you game over after doing ladder Freezard cancel, do you have to do ladder Freezard cancel again?
You do.
Interesting. But TGD doesn't have to do ice clip again because he'll just spawn where he entered the room, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure. It appears to be the case.
Interesting. So that is another difference between those two routes of Snow Peak, I guess.
Anyway, Zach now going to spend 18 seconds climbing the ladder to Aura's tower.
I love that
TGD
you
is
know,
going
like,
for the
exactly
Dark Hammer
how long
Bound.
it is. Yep.
You have to know these things. It's important.
Is that in like the miscellaneous timings on ZSR?
No, I have no idea.
But it should be.
Pigeon also going for the Dark Hammer bomb strat.
So now that Zach has the ball and chain, he's going to go ahead and head to desert. The only reason we need the ball and chain, by the way, is there's 2 hits that are like required on the Blizzetta's Ant phase, and there's no other way to deal damage in that phase, so we just have to go all the way out to go ahead and grab the ball and chain. But the only other required dungeons at this point are Arbiter's Grounds to be able to get to Palace, City in the Sky to be able to like have the game think that the mirror is completed, Palace itself to be able to get to Hyrule, and then Hyrule to finish the game. So we're pretty much just going to do a dungeon rush from this point onward. We have everything that we need from everywhere else, so we just go run through all those dungeons. So there'll be a lot of movement, and well, I guess AG still has some tricks, but there's
AG definitely has some tricks.
Yeah, there's more movement in the second half, I would say, outside of the Twilights, than in the first half, which is very trick heavy. So.
Yep.
Yeah, we will see a few tricks, some harder than others, but I expect that Zach and TGD and maybe also Pigeon will be going for probably DSS and Stallard skip.
Looking at Pigeon splits, I don't think I'd expect him to go for Stallard skip.
Okay.
He's got a 5.5 minute Stallard segment.
Might go for DSS though.
Could be. Midland unfortunately falling down in MDH Tower.
It's a very common experience.
Oh yeah, happens all the time.
Yeah.
Then we'll see Zach using the ball and chain to knock down this tower, and then clip past this next fence to avoid having to pick up one of the boars from the Bulblin encampment outside. Saves, I'm not sure how much time, but I don't know, 30 seconds or so. And then we'll see him doing another map glitch strat, I assume, to move through Bulblin camp faster. What he's going to be doing here is he's got map glitch, and now he'll be able to actually jump kind of under the map from out of bounds. And go directly to the trigger for entering the third King Bulblin fight. Which
Hopefully
is...
this LJA will not be troublesome. That's sort of an interesting way to get up there.
Hey, looks like it worked.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, actually the first King Bulblin fight we're seeing today, but we call it King Bulblin 3 because in a casual playthrough, this would be the third time we're seeing him. And this is slightly risky because getting hit by King Bulblin will deal 3 hearts of damage and kill Zack. And dying with map glitch is also a soft lock. The game over screen never progresses. But he was able to, correctly read that King Bulblin would attack there and backflipped out of the way.
Yeah, and on Empty Lake Highly route, it's not as bad as it used to be to get the soft lock there. But you would have to go all the way. I guess you would have to reset your console and go back.
Yep, you have to reset the console and then reload your Snow Peak save.
Yes,
and
so
it still loses.
It's not as far away, but
it loses about 6 minutes, I want to say.
Yeah,
you still don't want to do it.
In the routes before, if you do Gorge Pillar Clip route, the last save that you would have would be also in Snow Peak, but Snow Peak in that route is before Morpheal, so you would be quite a bit, further
you'd
back
have to do Morpheal again, and yep,
be a lot.
Anyways, we're coming up on having our first runner get into Arbiter's Grounds. That's where all of our routes meet up again. And Zack will be the first to make it there.
So yeah, it definitely looks like Zack has, a couple-minute lead over TGD, who has a little bit of a lead over Pigeon, but it's still pretty close.
Definitely
further behind.
Definitely still anybody's game at this point.
Yeah.
Some nice movement from Zack to get over to this pole chain a little earlier. Yeah, there are a couple different ways runners can go through that room.
I want to say that Midna is probably 7.5 minutes behind Zack. So, even between first and fourth right now, it's not that huge of a gap.
That feels about right. TGD also going for the same map glitch strat. Looks like Pigeon is on their way over there as well.
Yeah, thankfully it doesn't look like anybody had trouble with the LJA. The LJA,
there are a couple.
The aiming is kind of precise, but also side hopping into position can sometimes be weird because sometimes you'll just side hop over the spot where you want to get to.
Yep, I've tried that strat a few times. I feel like I have more trouble with the side hop than the LJ.
Yeah. And if you fall down there, then the Bulblin archers will start swarming you, and it's very difficult to actually do it again.
Yep. Zack now being introduced to the 4 Poes in the first half of Arbiter's Grounds. We'll only have to defeat 3 of them with a trick called Poe 1 Skip. Technically, we could also defeat none of them by doing a rupee slide through the big gate in the middle of the room, but that's far too slow to do in an any percent run. Now, I think Midna is a bit closer behind than that, actually.
What do you think, 7 minutes?
Probably closer to 5 minutes. My Enter AG split isn't 7 minutes long.
Okay. Well, Zack is a couple minutes into... I was saying between Zack.
Oh, that's... Yeah.
She's probably 5 minutes or fewer behind Pigeon right now. Or 5 minutes or something.
Yeah, I'd agree. Anyways, we just completely missed Zack doing Poe 1 Skip. That was very fast.
Yeah, we'll get to see it again from
TGD
and Pigeon.
TGD, unfortunately, not quite getting that auto roll perfect, but he's managed to back it up by transforming and attacking through the sand. Much cleaner from Pigeon.
Yeah, the human movement there saves, I think, a few seconds. It's definitely easier to stay wolf, or to turn into wolf, I guess. But it's slower, fortunately.
Yep. Hundo always does the wolf movement because they're wolf going into Arbiter's Grounds, and it's faster to stay wolf.
Right. Yeah, because 100% will grab a Poe that's like right outside the entrance, so it'll already be Wolf, like you were saying.
Yep. And then Zach getting some good RNG for Poe 4 there. That's very fast.
Nice camera for Zach.
Yep. Not as nice as it can be. You can get one where Wolf Link is sniffing the camera.
We mentioned lag reduction a couple times before, so the desert is also very laggy. It's another area where you kind of want to just point the camera at the ground.
That was very close to falling in the void from mid there.
Yeah. She grabbed the ledge. It's okay.
Yep, it worked out. But you want to be a bit careful with that one because it is another, 30 seconds of running back from the desert entrance or however long it is.
Okay, TGG is about to do Poe 1 skip.
Yep.
So again, that's just an LJA over to the pillar, and then you kind of clip up onto the pillar and roll up to the ledge. We used to have to do before like 2018, like much more difficult stuff. I think we used to do like a backflip that was kind of definitely not easy to get up onto the ledge, and I think a lot of runs would die to that, honestly.
Nice speed bubble from Zach there, getting hit out of the kind of turning the lever animation there, and looks like he's attempting to skip the redead. Let's see if this worked out for him. Looks good. That's hard to do consistently.
Yeah, so he'll probably just grab the red rupee in the double redead room before Poe 3, I guess. And then
yep, that's what I'm expecting.
A couple greens and then maybe the blue rupee if he has to.
And unfortunately having a little trouble with Poe 2 here. This fight's fairly annoying because of the bubbles dancing around. It's very easy to target them instead of the Poe, either directly or with charge attacks. But good recovery there. And meanwhile, both TGD and Pigeon in the Poe 4 fight. And Bid, unfortunately, getting too much of a side hop on there.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about before. It can sometimes just be weird. I'm not sure she's enough in the corner here, but we'll see. Oh,
looks like it worked.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, that LJA itself is also like weirdly precise. I mean, if you're slow about aiming, it's not hard, but you have to like kind of aim just like above the corner, basically. If you aim a little bit too far to the left or right, you just like don't land on the ledge.
Yep, then Zach is going to go back through the Poe 1 skip room and kind of enter this other wing of the dungeon backwards.
Yeah. By the way, also why TGD is pushing the box right now is so that he can do that movement later.
You'll see him open this door. This door is actually locked from the other side, so you'll see his small key get used up here. That's why we had to get it earlier. And then he can make his way, again, backwards through this room to Poe 3. And since he's going through backwards, all of the enemies in this room are kind of going to leave him alone. Until he hits them.
From Zach there.
Yeah, you usually see people attempt to kill that redead with just a midnight charge, tagging some Stalkin to make it hit twice, but that also works. And he's gotten the 20 rupees, so he's up to 300 now.
Would have thought he would have tried to skip the rupee text there, but apparently not.
Yeah, that one can be annoying because you end up targeting the Stalkin on your side hop.
Yeah, you also only got 1 rupee from all of the Stalkin, which is, and I don't even think it was from Stalkin. I want to say it was from the pot actually. And so I don't know how he needs 1 more rupee because he can get the blue rupee on the way to.
There are a couple of places he should be able to get one.
I want to say that outside of the Death Sword room, some of the pots, like one of the pots has a guaranteed rupee or something.
I think both of them, actually. So hopefully he gets that. Very clean Poe 2 from TGD there.
Wait, okay. Which pots in particular are they?
I'm not sure.
Are they the ones to the right or the left?
I think they're the ones to the left.
Remember. Okay. Well, Zach probably knows.
Hopefully.
So we will see.
And good Poe 2 from Pigeon as well, using spin attacks to knock down the bubbles.
Okay, Cass has informed us that the pots on the left before Death Swords are the ones with the rupees.
And we just saw a TGD attempt Speed Rat to get hit out of the pushing animation here, but didn't quite get it. And looks like he's looking for health here.
Zach skipping the blue rupee, which is a very interesting strategy.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one.
He's probably just gonna grab the rupee above fire. Maybe he doesn't know about the rupee.
Yeah, we'll see.
Figured that he needed more than 5 anyway.
Anyways, well, he's now doing some very flashy movement here to make his way through this room, which we're supposed to go through in the other direction and with the aid of the spinner.
It's good, though.
Nice brake slide there.
Yeah, this other brake slide right here is probably the most difficult one.
Very nice, especially doing it unbuffered.
Zach making it look pretty easy, although he didn't get quite as far as I think he wanted to.
Yep, hey, it worked out. And using a couple bombs to blow up those Stalfos there. Let's see Midland's Pill1 skip. Unfortunately, I think she's having a bit of trouble with the mold arms.
Interesting brake sliding by Zach.
Very, very nice. TGD using the more traditional strategy on that redead.
Yeah. Zach, we were just mentioning that there's, in the pots to the left of Death Sword, there's a couple of guaranteed rupees. So you could have gotten the blue and then maybe one of those to get to 300. But fires is also quite easy to just grab as well.
Yeah, should be fine. And TG and Pigeon still staying very close through this first half of Arbiter's Grounds here, which is pretty impressive. There's lots of ways to lose time in this segment.
Zach is having to do the backup method for Death Sword skip. Looks good to me.
Yep, this is another super jump like we did for early Master Sword near the beginning of the run. And unfortunately not quite getting it.
I think the positioning looked okay. That just looked like an early frame or something.
Yep, this one's a bit more precise. Fortunately getting a bad position from Death Sword again. He can kind of get stuck there. Let's see if he makes it the second try. Looks good.
Better. There we go.
So that's a bit faster than fighting Death Sword normally. And TG and Pigeon both clipping their way to the boss key now. Meanwhile, Zach save warping out of Death Sword's room. He's kind of stuck there, and it's faster to save warp back to the start of the dungeon anyways. See,
yeah, even
spinner room movement.
Even if you killed Death Sword, it would be slowed. You'd have to go all the way back through the epic spinner room, as we call it, which is not very fast. And so it's much faster to just save warp and roll through the rooms the normal way.
Pigeon doing a slightly different strategy here. And looks like he won't be going for the brake slide in this next room.
I don't
Instead,
blame him.
going to be attack across as Wolf. Yeah, TGD also didn't quite get the setup for it, I think. And TGD unfortunately missing a roll there to get over that sand. Ideally, you'd want to be able to make it to the gate almost as that cutscene starts. In fact, we just saw Pigeon make it there before the cutscene. Had to wait a bit.
So it's interesting because Zach has enough of a lead right now where even if everybody else got Stellar Skip first try, he would probably still be ahead. So he doesn't necessarily have to go for Stellar Skip here, but I expect that he will.
I expect that he will as well.
Yeah, it will be sort of interesting in some of like the bracket races. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see like, what people will decide to go for situationally. Like if you're ahead of, like if you're racing against one person and you're like 5 minutes ahead, probably better to like lower the variance of like times that you're expected to get by just not going for it. But Then again, a lot of people have gotten very good at Stallard Skip, and so they may just prefer it to doing Stallard normally anyway.
Then looks like Pigeon is choosing to fight Death Sword normally, so TGD will be able to get a bit of a lead here if he has a good Death Sword skip, and it looks like he does.
Yep.
Then Zach now setting up for Stallard skip. This is certainly one of the harder tricks in the game. What we'll see him doing is getting a very precise angle and position set up here. Doing another angle buffer to set his vertical angle correctly. That looks good.
Gonna go ahead and use claw shot actor displacement to bring Joseph over towards him.
Yep, and now I'll be trying to do a frame perfect claw shot L slide, clip into the wall. Very good. And now he'll be setting up for a bomb boost to clip through this next wall. And from there, he can reach the load zone to exit Sallard's room, which, unlike most doors in this game, there actually is a load zone behind this one. It's always active. That is a very clean Stallard skip, doing it without the aid of the boomerang to stop Stallard's attacks. And yeah, as Doopsy pointed out, he golded that segment by 4 seconds.
Yeah, I don't think that's quite a community zone of best, but that was extremely fast.
Extremely clean Stallard. That is absolutely what you want to have at this point.
Yeah. So honestly, unless Zach just starts like messing up things left and right, this lead is pretty insurmountable. Most of the rest of the late game dungeons, it's like, especially at someone at Zach's level, is probably not going to lose a ton of time there.
Yep, high-level runners, we can usually expect them to take about an hour to finish the run-up after our boost round, so Zach is on a very good pace right now. Mid, meanwhile, having a little trouble on her way to Po3's room. And then Zach heading into the Kakariko Sanctuary basement to do a trick called Early City in the Sky, which is actually the largest sequence break we have available in Twilight Princess. This is what allows us to skip the second half of Snow Peak Ruins, all of Temple of Time, and the Skybook side quest, which I think saves about 40 minutes in total.
See if TGD is going to go for Stallard Skip.
I imagine he will, and I imagine Pigeon won't, so TGD could extend the lead a little bit more here.
He is going for it. I'm not sure that's necessarily the right decision if you're just trying to finish in second, but we'll see what happens. I mean, if he gets it first or second or third try, maybe even, that's probably fine, but...
As we'll see Zach run over to Fire and pay him or actually you'll have to pick up an extra rupee here. There are, I believe, 60 rupees available in and around Fire's hut here. And attempting to skip the text there, but not quite getting it. Good CAD from TGD, but he didn't get the L slide, so he's having to reset Stallard with the boomerang and try again. Meanwhile, we can see Pigeon going for the usual strat of, attacking Stallard with the spinner and doing the fight as the game roughly as the game intends you to, though he'll, I assume, be going for a different strat in phase 2. TGD still having a little trouble with that L slide. Anyways, as I was just saying, since Zach has collected 300 rupees, he'll be able to simply pay Fire to fix the cannon immediately. We'll see when the French runners get there that they'll have to do something slightly different. Pigeon, meanwhile, through with the first Stallard phase, and TGD gets the L slide into the wall there, so that's very nice.
Yeah, he's definitely having trouble with that.
But he's just got the bomb boost left.
If he makes it on this bomb boost, then he will still save time over doing it normally.
And that looks good.
There we go.
So not the fastest Stallard skip, but he's definitely saved time over Pigeon with it.
Yes. Yeah, I mean,
Meanwhile,
the real
we
thing
just
that
saw-
loses a bunch of time
we
is if
just
you
saw-
like fail the bomb boost.
Mhm.
So. Sorry.
We just saw Pigeon do a fast knockdown on Stallard to start phase 2 a little faster, and then he's managed to one cycle that with a vast quantity of quick spins. And TGD about 4 minutes behind Zach exiting Arbiter's Ground. So yeah, it's going to be pretty hard for TGD to make this one up. It's not totally out of the question, though.
Yeah, the more interesting thing is going to be between TGD and Pigeon. I think TGD has more of a lead than he did before because of saving some time on Stellar Skip, but it's still
pretty close.
Probably within about a minute or so.
Medellin also not opting to attempt Death Sword Skip. You can see Pigeon taking advantage of the high movement speed of the spinner in Stallard's Arena. One of the few places it's actually useful for movement. And we just saw Zach transform into Wolf and open this door into the city main room from fairly far away. This skips a cutscene trigger that's supposed to turn on the big fan in the ceiling. It'll help him get to the boss key easier later once he gets the double claw shots. TGD on his way to early city.
Is that going to work?
And unfortunately not quite getting the clip.
I think he was too far to the right on that, so... Not sure that... Yeah, he chose not to transform there because it wasn't going to work. That should work. There we go.
Zach having a little trouble with this LJ to skip claw-shotting on the vines.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if that... I mean, because it's an extra equip, right? So does that
it is
actually
faster.
save time?
It's faster if you do it quickly.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean, I guess you have to do an equip to equip the spinner anyway going outside. So if you equip the boomerang there... Then...
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think
Like,
it's only
not-
really like one extra equip.
Yeah,
And climbing the vines is slow because it's climbing vines in Twilight Princess.
sure.
Anyways, nice no-look claw shot from Zach there to, get over the gap after the chest there. Now, next we'll see him attempting to skip a cutscene where Argrok flies in and destroys the bridge he's about to go across. Good early city from Pigeon. Then, nice backup there from Zach, not quite getting onto the railing with the first jump, but very smooth to back it up with the jump attack there. So by skipping that
he does that
cutscene,
as a backup though. But go ahead. Sorry.
it's possible. Anyways, by skipping that cutscene, we've obviously avoided watching the cutscene, which itself takes probably 30 seconds or so. But another interesting side effect is that if we save warp now, we'll actually end up back at the small key chest. Oh, it's actually faster to do that? Interesting.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, I think like if you can no look and get on the railing immediately, then like it would probably be a little bit faster. But not having to like see up and being able to just jump into the corner and do the jump attack with the targeting the P hat is pretty fast.
Yeah, I might start trying that. I don't love the see up method.
Yeah, but you want to take...
saying.
Sorry, go ahead.
As I was saying, it's maintaining his save warp position at that small key chest, so we'll be able to go back there after getting the double claw shots instead of having to go through those first couple rooms of the dungeon again.
Yeah, and you won't have to skip the fan again, which is also nice.
Yep.
But I think the movement, like aside from the cutscene itself, I think the movement ends up being similar. It's just much easier to move back from the small key chest. And then, obviously, skipping the cutscene itself saves a lot of time.
And Mid, unfortunately, having a little trouble on Stallard Phase 1. The spawn positions of those stall troops is kind of RNG, and it can be mean to you sometimes.
Yeah, she's also pressing the spinner button like just slightly too late, because you need to spin her the spine rather than just bonking off of it. And she's like,
Yeah.
she's hitting the spine, but not actually. There we go. Now she got
There we go. Zach making quick work of the 2 Dynalphos in this room with a spin attack.
Yeah, you saw Zach hesitate a little bit there before jumping across with the Uku. If you try to go immediately after getting the Uku very quickly, you'll actually get there before the fan starts going, and then you'll have to like do it all over again, which is really annoying. So you kind of have to wait just a little bit.
Then we'll see him going for a weird, kind of precise jump off this like broken off piece of wall here to skip some more fans in this room. And wisely not bonking on the door that takes way too long for the A prompt to show up for some reason.
I think he's going to do Kermit jump.
Yep,
Very
nice skydive down from there instead of picking up the Uku. It's a little
like,
faster, but it deals 2 hearts of damage, which he can barely afford.
Barely take.
Then Mid, unfortunately, failing the Stallard early knockdown, going for a backup strat here.
Yeah, I saw her get this back up recently, so she seems to be pretty good at it.
Yeah, it's not that difficult. That was the first way I started doing this Stallard quick knockdown.
Interesting.
Anyways, we'll see Zach attempting a Ralphos skip here. I don't know if he's doing the new setup strat we have for it. Looks like he is.
He is, yeah.
Yep, shoutouts to Awabi74 for that. Once again, we can go straight past this gate via a poorly placed claw shot target right over it.
How did Pigeon even... Did you see that?
No, I was looking at Zach.
He landed on some ledge that I didn't even know was like a ledge that you could stand on or grab, but like crazy.
Yeah, that's strange. Anyway, since he did that cutscene skip, Zach will end up back at that small key chest. Hopefully. In rare cases, we have had runners do the cutscene skip, but end up back at the start of the dungeon after getting the double claw shots anyways. That's called Atom Glitch. We still don't know why it happens. One of the great unsolved mysteries of TP.
Right. Zach wisely not trying to skip the cutscene again.
Yep.
It's another one of those areas where you go through multiple times. I've definitely skipped it twice before, so...
And the field has widened a bit after Arbiter's Grounds. Mid is now about 12 minutes behind Zach. But still, honestly, closer than a lot of these pool races have been, so that's very nice to watch.
Yeah, it's worth noting that, like, Midna's actually on a pretty good run, honestly. It's just...
Oh yeah, Midna's on a pace. Midna's like 2 minutes ahead of her PB right now.
Everybody else is just on, like, very good pace. So... Zach having trouble with Kai Clip here.
Yep, we can do a precise claw shot here to clip through a section of this grate that's kind of missing its collision. This skip's having to go outside and do some more claw shotting and LJs to get up to the boss key.
It's a good backup by Zach, though.
Yep. And jumping down into the right place to get that auto roll there. Just saves a tiny bit of time on movement. And nice tile warm LJA from TGD. That is the fastest way to get across this room, but it's kind of precise.
So is it faster than the corner jump?
I believe so.
Interesting. Good to know.
And then we see Zach Link using some more claw shots and LJs to get across these fans without setting them spinning like you're supposed to. Saves a bit of time there.
You mean it's not intended to, like, clip up onto the top of the fans?
Not really, no.
think there's technically a way to do it without having any LJAs, I want to say.
Yeah, it's possible on Wii. I hear it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I don't think most people go for it.
No. I think some people go for like 2 separate LJAs, but I don't see anybody like try to skip.
Yeah,
all
I
the
think
LJAs.
Marco does that.
Yeah.
I've seen it a couple times. Anyway, Zach now going through the City in the Sky fan tower. This sequence is all about precise claw shot aiming.
Yeah, you don't have a lot of time to aim because these fans spin kind of fast. Notably, they actually do spin faster than they do on the HD version. So I guess Nintendo thought that this was too hard, and so nerfed it, basically.
But Zach's... I can talk. Zach got a very fast fan tower there. If you miss any of those fan cycles, it takes quite a while for them to come around again. So good job from Zach to make his way through it.
Yeah, it's especially slow if you miss one of the fan cycles where you're on a fan in the middle because you can't drop down and like skip half a cycle.
Anyways, now setting up for a precise claw shot up here to skip climbing some of these vines on his way to Arc Rock.
Named Rob Shot after Rob. I think Rob West, I want to say.
I believe so.
It's been a while. Not to be confused with Robman Pac-Man, who also ran this one.
And let's see TGD's Aralfo skip. Little trouble with the angle buffer there. And good job to correctly recognize the correct frame, even though Aralfos was kind of mostly in front of the visual cue we usually go for. Then I assume in a second here we'll see Zach go for a quick second cycle on Arc Rock here by claw shotting up to the pillar instead of waiting for it to fly around. That looks good. And now he gets to watch a 1 minute and 9 second long cutscene.
Yeah, this one is long enough to go do stuff during, which is nice.
Yep. And let's see how Pigeon does with the Ralpho skip. Very nice. And Mid making her way through the first room of City in the Sky. TGD coming up on Kai Clip. That looks good. Ooh, and almost knocked back down by the Helmosaur there, but very lucky to avoid it and kind of land on the edge there. That one can be real annoying sometimes. Then we'll see Zach going for some flame cancels on Argrok there, dipping low enough in the arena to make Argrok think he's kind of fallen down and stop shooting the flame a little faster than doing the fight casually.
Yeah, the first 2 cycles on this second phase are basically the same with the flame skips. The third one's a little different.
Then I think TGD might be going for the 2 LJ strat for fan skip here.
Oh yeah, so you'll see it here. I think this is about the same amount of time as just doing the double LJA. It might be slightly easier to aim for, I don't know.
Yeah, but the problem is the double LJ looks significantly cooler.
Yes, and as we all know, style points are worth like 30 seconds off at the end of the run for each style point.
Yeah, I've got my own plans for where I'm going to pick up my style points.
Sure.
As I think this is Zach's last cycle on Argrok, so the flame cancel setup is a tiny bit different because Argrok's going to turn around halfway through.
Yeah, interestingly, he chose to go the other direction with the P-hats this time. Not entirely sure what makes it different, but
I don't think it really makes a difference. Could have been just where he managed to claw shot up.
yeah.
TGD now moving through the fan tower. That looks good.
Pigeon also doing 2 individual LJs here. So there's a clear favorite, I guess. I mean, depending what Midna does, I guess.
Yeah, I was going to say.
We'll see when she gets through.
And that's a clean Argarok fight from Zach. So he gets another minute-long cutscene.
And if he had Ethernet's disc, then he would be able to skip this cutscene.
I don't think Ethernet skipped the cutscene, dude.
Didn't he? Ethernet.
Well, technically he did, but it wasn't faster.
Is it not faster with the game over? I thought that's how you do it, but maybe not.
Oh. Actually, I
kept
suppose
going.
I didn't see the rest of it. I assumed that game over meant he had to reset the fight, but
No. He skipped the cutscene.
shoot, it might be faster then.
Yeah. Ethernet, for people who don't know, Ethernet ran in a race earlier today, and he has a very, 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 very cursed copy of TP. And so it does strange things sometimes, like causing him to, like, I guess Argarok to just disappear after getting the final blow, and he just, like, skipped the final cutscene, which makes those runs not verifiable. But I think that well, I don't know what they ended up doing.
Apparently, it's okay for Wolf. Apparently, it's okay for Wolfdash. Who knows?
I imagine if the race was, like, close, that it might have mattered. But
then
the difference
TGD apparently having trouble with the Argarok first phase. I'm not really sure what that was.
Yeah, I don't know.
And Zach doing a B attack there with Iron Boots to avoid falling into the water and having to swim out. Good Argarok first phase from TGD. Then I think Pigeon... No, I guess they just decided to get up on the pillar for the first cycle instead of...
You just have to, like, either be on a pillar or, like, near a pillar for Argarok to, like, if you stand in the middle of the room, I think on the first try, like, Argarok will just, skate across the ground. But if you stand near a pillar or on a pillar, it'll, be able to be grabbed, which is nice.
Anyway, Zach the first into Palace of Twilight. This is one of the longer dungeons in the game. It's mostly glitchless. There aren't any sequence breaks we have access to inside the dungeon.
Yeah, it probably is the single longest dungeon in any %, I would say. It's longer than Arbiter's, especially with Stellar Skip, but even before Stellar Skip.
Midland, unfortunately, sinking slightly too low with the Uka there. And having trouble with the Helmosaur. See, I don't even know where she needs to claw shot back up.
She went further.
Oh, I see. I see now. Yeah.
Probably just killed this Helmosaur, though, at this point.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
And we can see Zach starting to make his way through Palace. We have to collect 7 small keys in Palace, all of which are going to be used in the same room. It's a very linear dungeon.
As you can see from Midna's screen, these Ukus just kind of want to walk on the ceiling, apparently. I don't think I've ever seen one that far up.
Yeah, really.
that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's unfortunate RNG for Mid there.
Yeah. But nice Uku jump.
And looks like Mid could go for the skydive, but I think she's going to play it safe and pick up the Uku here.
Yeah, it's definitely easier to just do the Uku.
Yep.
So the fastest way to do this Phantom Zant fight that Zach just entered is to do a 3-cycle with a stab, 2 spins, a stab, 2 spins, and then a stab and 3 spins on like each on separate cycles, basically.
Yep.
Can be kind of annoying if you're not very good at quick spins. I imagine Zach will do just fine. If you do too much damage, then Phantom Zant just starts walking around.
Let's see, mids Aralfo skip. That should work. Ooh. Oh no.
It was a little to the side.
Looks like she's just going to reset the fight and try again.
Yeah. Got hit while falling out of bounds.
Yeah,
I don't think I've seen that
bizarre.
Before. Aralfo's fault her followed her way down into the void. Having trouble with the angle buffer.
That looks good.
Got it that time though.
Yeah, not bad. Yeah, Ukyo, it's been a good race today.
Yeah, TGD and Pigeon are still pretty close to each other.
Zach is a few minutes ahead, but you know, anything can happen.
Yeah, I don't know the cutscene timings well enough, but I think that TGD and Pigeon are probably within like 30 seconds ish of each other. Ish, maybe a little bit more.
Something like that. We'll get to see here.
Maybe it's closer to like 40 or something. We'll see once Pigeon warps out of city. Zach is on kind of low health for Palace.
Yeah, definitely not a lot of room to work with there.
Yeah, you want over 2 hearts for a point in the second half of the dungeon. And so he's going to have to hopefully just get a couple heart drops. Sometimes they can drop in East Wing, but anyway. Yeah, so it looks like about a 40-second gap between TGD and Pigeon.
Yep, that could definitely still go either way.
Yeah, and as a reminder, like, finishing second or third matters a lot, because if you finish second, you're just in the main bracket, whereas the third place person has to participate in another race to, like, hopefully finish in the top 2 to make the main bracket.
TGD on his way into Palace. And let's see how Zach does with Stupid Room.
These keys are not giving him good RNG.
Not a good start to Stupid Room.
But he recovered pretty well.
Yep, should be able to make this work. Looks good.
Yeah, do not jump to the next. Oh god. Okay.
Yeah, that was a risky jump attack onto that platform, but he made it work.
Well, it's not just like it's not just
falling
the
down in this room sucks. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, because if you fall down, you have to like go all the way back through the room again, which is very slow. But what I was gonna say is that it's not just like that angle was kind of like sketchy looking to be able to make that jump with the slash. The other thing is that when the chest spawns in, I think it like cancels out your forward momentum, as I recall. I may be wrong on this. I don't remember. And so you can just like kind of be mid jump and just not make the jump. It certainly would stop you from being able to do a B attack. So if you needed the extra distance, you definitely couldn't get that if the cutscene pops up. But
yep,
so it's very risky
for the second half of Palace now. This is all looking pretty good. Good job to get.
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry, the second half of the first half of Palace.
Right.
Good job to get that claw shot off before the cutscene starts.
There's a few ways to get to this door after this chest here.
Yep, we'll see what he goes with. Looks like he's going for the LJ.
Yeah.
And now he gets to fight another Phantom Zant. This will be exactly the same as the first one, just trying to do that precise amount of damage every cycle to keep him from warping around. Yep, Zach is in the lead by a couple minutes right now.
Yeah, and then TGD is in second, and he's about probably 40 seconds-ish ahead of Pigeon, who's in third, who's like a good chunk ahead of Midnet, who's in fourth right now.
Yep. Good first Phantom Zant from TGD there. Midna, not quite in the right place for Rob Shot, so she's got to climb some vines here. Fortunately, also getting analog glitch, I think.
Yep.
You can see Zach doing a claw shot L slide there to move a bit while picking up the soul.
Yeah, that actually comes in handy in West Wing because there's some little vermin squeeble things that spawn on one of the ledges, and you can kind of just skip them with the L slide, which is nice. We'll see that in a minute from TGD here. It should be in this next room.
Yep, and also in a number of places he'll be throwing the soul into the socket and then making it so that he can get on top of that staircase before it kind of lifts up, rather than having to actually walk up it. Couple spots for that throughout Palace of Twilight. There's the L slide,
Right.
looks good.
As I like to call it, soul basketball.
Yep.
I don't know if anybody else calls it that, but it's fine.
I know I've referred to that first room in North Wing as basketball room before.
Nice.
Anyway, Zach's about done with the first half of Palace. Got a one frame, I guess, sword pull to drop the soul there. So we can just roll over to the platform rather than having to walk slowly with the soul. And that's a very clean light sword segment from Zach. Pigeon having a little trouble with that claw shot. It's kind of barely at the edge of claw shot range there.
Yeah, you could tell Pigeon was worried about the little vermin spawning in because he was walking around the fence to avoid getting hit by them.
Yep.
The L slide skips having to do that, but he kind of had a funky looking L slide, so he didn't want to go for it.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't work.
Right. Yeah, there's times when it looks like it should be fine, and then it just doesn't work. It's very strange.
Anyway, Zach now into the actual second half of Palace.
Yes.
And let's see if TGD can make the Zant head spawn work for a stupid room. Looks like he does.
Yeah, back left and back right are probably the best spawns. You really don't want it to spawn in middle back or like the one right in front of that.
Yep. Still, though, to get those back ones, you've got to be pretty confident in your movement to get across the platforms quickly.
Yeah, for sure. It's just it's easier to avoid getting hit by the orb. If you have more leniency on getting back there. And you'll make it all the way across in one go, whereas if like the Zant head spawns in one of the first two, it's easier to get to, but then you'll probably have to wait an extra cycle on the platforms.
And Ben, unfortunately, having a little trouble with the Argot flame cancels, so having to do one of these cycles the kind of casual way. Pigeon getting the same head spawn. And narrowly avoiding getting hit there, I think.
He did get
Also
hit
makes it work.
already on the platform and walking, and so it didn't really mess with him.
Yep.
Wait, Beast, is it actually fastest if they spawn in the front two? That's interesting. I didn't know that.
I mean, they can be the fastest and also suck to do. Those are not mutually exclusive.
Since you're here, what makes those faster than the ones in the back? Do you just like not wait before starting the jumps if you like are just guessing that they'll spawn there or something?
Zach now into the palace outside section.
I guess they do die sooner. That's fair. You don't have to wait
think
for
he's
them
looking
to
for-
die.
I think he's looking for heart drops here. This is a room where we're going to try to take 2 hearts of intentional damage to save time. And going for an LJ here to... No, maybe not. Ideally, you want to do an LJ there to skip a little bit of riding the platform. Did get a heart from that pot there. Now he's going to void out to go back to the start of the room, having killed that Zant head. And now he's going to make his way up to the boss key. Kind of precise claw shot here to skip some of the claw shotting up these targets. Mid, meanwhile, finishing up the Argrok fight.
I don't think that's what Zach meant to do.
No. I guess didn't quite get the right sword position to open a hole in the fog there or something. That can happen.
Well, if you just roll at the right timing, then it won't transform you, and you can just like pull out the sword and do a spin as you land. Like you don't have to spin the waterfall out of the way before going down.
Whatever it was, he didn't do it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he's now on top of the chest here. And he's now on into what we call early platform cycle room. There's a platform at the top of this room that's on I forget how long the cycle is, but it's annoyingly long. So he has to move through this room very quickly to get to it in time.
Yeah, I think the cycle is at least 15 seconds. We'll see if
I'm
Zach
sure somebody in
presses
chat
midnight.
knows.
Zach opting to not do the midnight buffer here.
Yep, calling midnight can make getting the platform cycle a little easier because it stops the platforms, but it doesn't stop the timer for those shadow beasts showing up.
Yeah, so it
And
makes
he's
it
gonna be doing-
way easier to make the cycle at the top. But now
Yep, doing an
he'll have
LJ
to,
there.
yeah, he'll have to get some good LJs here.
We'll see if it goes for the second one.
I mean,
Doing
I
a setup
assume
there
he
to get
will.
all the way into the corner on this platform. Yep, and he is doing an LJ here.
Surely he's not LJing all the way over to the other platform. Oh my goodness.
And looks like he has even a little bit of time to spare. That's very clean.
Do not get hit by this energy ball. Okay, thank you. That would be very, very bad. Because he hadn't killed that Zant head yet, so the platform at the bottom wouldn't have spawned yet. So if he game over, he'd have to go all the way back up through all the platforms. I mean, I guess he could skip like one of them at the end by just
still
claw
wouldn't do that.
shotting, but it's still really slow.
Anyways, everybody now into Palace of Twilight. Zach, of course, knows exactly where to expect these shadow beasts to show up. It's the same every time.
Getting pretty good heart RNG from these shadow beasts, which is nice.
Yep, very good.
Yeah, he doesn't really need the pot fairy. The pot fairy is also random, so sometimes it's just a rupee or something.
Nice
You don't
LJ
really-
from Guy there to skip some platform riding. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine. You don't really need that much health for the Zant fight, but you do want to have a little bit because you're probably going to get hit during the Goron Mine's like Dangora phase.
Yeah, I believe the fast strat for that one actually requires taking a bit of damage.
Yeah. I don't
I
remember
assume we'll
exactly
see
how much
Zach go for.
it's. Yeah, you would want definitely at least more than like a quarter of a heart.
Absolutely.
I think it's like half a heart, but I don't remember for sure.
Another
We'll probably
LJ
see in
there.
a minute here.
Saw TGD pull the item wheel briefly to make sure that the boomerang had actually gone out of bounds before jumping to it. And this phase of the Zant fight is actually one of the few truly required uses of the boomerang in the game. Although we'd probably still get it if we didn't have to do this. Then we'll see.
Did you see the shield jump attack there? That was awesome.
Yeah, that was neat.
Yeah, I forget how to do that, but that was really cool looking.
Yeah, good strat from Zach there to do a one cycle in that Dangara phase. Now we're into the Morphil phase. This is going to be the same as the Morphil fight earlier. We'll use water bombs to refill air.
I think that Zach actually avoided taking damage by doing the little shield jump attack thing there.
Yeah, that was interesting. I don't think
he was
I've seen
already
that
at
before.
He was already at 4 1/4 hearts, so I think that like he managed to avoid taking damage.
Oh.
It's cool.
Mid, unfortunately, having a bit of trouble with the Phantom Zant fight, and it's full of Babas.
Yeah.
That can happen if you drop any of those quick spins. Zach, unfortunately, getting hit by an energy ball from Zant there, but not a big deal.
GG, of course, getting hit by the bird right as the chest is about to spawn in.
Of course. Hi, Karg.
Say hi to the camera.
Then, just like with the boomerang, this Blazetta phase of Zant is the only time we actually need to use the ball and chain. But there's no other way to deal damage to Zant in this phase.
Yeah,
So,
this
of course,
phase
calling
alone
back to
costs
the
like 10 minutes. It's crazy.
Yep.
At least.
So, of course, calling back to the end boss of Snow Peak Ruins, who we didn't see. And we'll see how TGD does in early platform room. Good LJ there. Then Zach is going to try to do some fast attacks to get through this final phase on Zant. We need to hit him specifically with the fourth part of a combo.
Yeah, if you hit him with an earlier part of the combo, it'll start working. You don't believe
That looks good.
Gonna do the faster
And then-
strat. Very nice.
Yeah, that's very clean.
Yeah, so the way it works is on the third cycle of that last phase, Zant will just alternate between, he'll try to do a top spin first and then do slashes and then top slashes back and forth kind of for a while. And so if you get him to like run into the wall as a top, it's actually slightly faster to do that and then do a fourth hit of a combo into Zant than like actually spinning the top to stop him. I don't remember how much it saves, but it's a little bit. It's more difficult though.
All right, Zach is now on one heck of a pace coming out of Palace.
Yeah, this is not PB pace for Zach because Zach's PB is very good, but it's definitely like probably going to be like a 254.
Could be if he plays well.
I mean, his best
TGD.
possible time right now is a high 253. So
Yep, TGD on his way to Zant now. And Mid, unfortunately, having a little trouble in Stupid Room.
Pigeon is going to miss the platform cycle here, but thankfully realized and is not dropping down.
Yep. And unfortunately, that's one of the harder sand head spawns we were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
That's
this
just
is a
unfortunate.
frustrating, stupid room for mid here.
Yeah. Probably better to stand on the platform right before the end. If you like missed the warp.
Yeah, it's tricky to get that though. Looks like she's just gonna camp here and wait for it to come over.
Yeah, I don't really blame her. I mean, falling in this room wastes a lot of
Ooh.
time.
Speaking of falling in rooms that waste a lot of time, Pigeon just slightly missing that last LJ in early platform room.
That's
And
very
he's going to have
unfortunate.
to spend a few seconds writing this platform back up. Thankfully, he did kill the Zant head, so the platform has spawned. He doesn't have to go through the whole thing again.
So is this actually still random when Midna is standing all the way at the end? I guess it is. I don't know if
believe
it can
so.
spawn on top of her. I think I've seen it before, but that Zant head kept like spawning really far away.
Yeah, I don't know. See if TGD can get the Dangara one cycle.
A
Just
little
barely
early.
missed it.
Yeah.
It's only a 2-frame window for that last attack.
Squidna is another long cutscene that Zach is in right now.
Yep, it's almost 2 minutes.
So there aren't too many long cutscenes in the game. It's pretty much all, doing movements and movement and tricks and not a ton of downtime, but there are a couple cutscenes like this. So
Let's see what movement mid does after getting this small key here. Looks like she's going for the claw shot. There's just enough space to hit that target. And Zach now on into Hyrule Castle. He'll make quick work of this first barrier fight with a bomb. Technically, you can do a very precise LJ to get around it, but most people don't.
it was kind of funny. TGD and Pigeon were both in essentially Forest Temple at the same time, just in different parts of the Zan fight in Forest Temple.
Nice. The second barrier is, of course, much easier to skip. You just skip the cutscene fast enough and roll all the way around it. We even allow that in glitchless speedruns.
I think we didn't used to, but well, actually, maybe it's just the difference between Western and JP.
Yeah, not totally sure.
I don't know if they changed what JP did there, but I think Western allows us to just roll out of it.
Anyways, now Zach fighting King Boblin for the second time. This is, of course, King Boblin 4. And once the sequence is over, he will have an opportunity for a one-frame backflip to skip some text. We'll see if he gets it.
Yeah, technically, if you don't get it, it's faster to roll back to the entrance. But a lot of people will just save warp because they don't trust their movement to be good.
Yeah, it's only barely faster.
The timing is not with like completely perfect movement, but it's still like pretty good rolls. So.
And unfortunately not getting the backflip there.
Yeah.
But still opting to save warp.
Yes, he saved warping. Okay.
TGD now out of Palace. About 5 or 6 minutes behind Zach now.
Yeah, this was a really impressive, comeback and by Zach because he definitely missed Hugo a couple times early on, and then just managed to take a massive lead towards the end.
Yep, he's really running away with it.
Yeah.
And good barrier 3 skip from Zach there. That one's a little more precise on the cutscene skip than the second one.
Yeah, I wonder if this is like the fastest anybody has ever gotten this far in a run after like failing Hugo, I think twice, and not getting Gorge Void.
I have no idea.
Interesting to know. I mean, it's definitely very fast paced for both of those things.
Anyway, Zach now having to deal with the only Dark Nut of the run.
Yeah, there is another Dark Nut at the very end of Hyrule Castle that the game wants you to fight, but we kind of just skip it.
But we don't have to do that one.
Yeah. Just claw shot past it because we can.
And you saw him set up for another like no-look boomerang throw to put out a torch and let that platform lift up a little bit faster there.
He is going to go for the faster lantern puzzle movement here. Saves like a second, I want to say. Although he's going to fail it because he's too slow getting to the third one there.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Got it done.
The timing on this is kind of tight, but got it the second time.
Anyways, Pigeon now also out of Palace of Twilight, about a couple minutes behind TGD now.
Okay, Midland needs to be careful to not die here.
Yes.
Should probably go grab that heart.
There we go.
There we go.
I'm surprised she didn't get transformed there.
Yeah, I am too. Zach, thankfully, not getting hit out of bounds by the Dynalphos, which is the thing that can happen.
Yep.
Very rare, but it's happened to a couple people.
And let's see if he gets the ball and chain on Aralphos here. Yep, very good. The timing on the ball and chain pull there is pretty tight.
Yeah, it's not too bad once you get used to it, but you have to practice it a little bit.
Yeah, I'm pretty bad at it.
Been trying in vain to get that heart. Unfortunately.
Yeah, that's just how Palace goes sometimes. Hopefully she'll get a heart drop here.
Looked like one dropped.
Yep.
There we go.
TGU now on into Hyrule Castle.
Zach is going to see the real friends we made along the way, aka this hawk. It'll pop up in a second here.
The exploding bird.
With laser beam eyes that shot down the Boglin archers, of course. Does this hawk have a name? Does anybody name this hawk?
I'm not sure. TGD making sure to take a close look at those bokoblins there, just making sure they're, correct, I guess.
Okay. I hereby, if that hawk doesn't have a name yet, I hereby dub it Ethan. She'll forever be known as Ethan.
Trying to go for the edge of the cutscene figure there, but unfortunately bonked and opened the save menu instead.
Or Chris says
anyway, Zach's
the name of the hawk is Gigaburge.
I like that one better.
Ah, boo.
Zach now into the final section of Hyrule Castle. There is a path you're supposed to take through this room where the floor kind of falls out from under you, but hopefully by just moving quickly, Zach will be able to skip that and take a more direct line. Looks good.
we'll see if Zach tries to do the spinner strat at the end. I think he may be the person who came up with it, but I don't remember for sure. I think he is.
We will see. I mean, I know it's generally referred to as Zach strat, but it looks like he's not going for it today. Instead, attempting but missing a precise jump attack to hit both of those Lizalfos with the jump attack. Not too hard to back up, though. Anyways, we'll see him just claw shot past his final Dark Nut.
Yeah, the way the Zach strat, or whatever we call it, works is that you can kind of like, by getting hit by the barrier, I think with iframes, you can kind of just, clip onto the railing by using the spinner, which is kind of cool, so you don't have to kill the Lizalfos.
Then I believe we saw Midland get the boss key first in that palace outside area, which is a little slower because it gives you a bad cycle for the Zant heads, but it makes it a little easier to claw shot up. And Zach now one boss fight away from victory.
Yeah,
he does still have to get through.
He's still on 254 pace, sorry. But he needs like a pretty decent Zelda to get it.
Yeah, good point, Clubbers. If Zach isn't doing Zach strat, can it truly be said to be? Anyways, let's see what his Zelda RNG is like.
Is that the first time that TGG failed the barrier skip strat, or did he fail it once already?
I'm not sure. I wasn't watching.
I think that was the first time, maybe. Or, well, actually,
I don't know. Going by chat, he might be about to fail it again. Let's see. Then Bid going the other way in early platform room after that first set of jumps.
Oh no. TG, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Try jump attacking further to the right, maybe? I don't know.
I mean, he really should just do the ending blow moon boots.
Obviously.
Nobody's ever going to do that strat.
I didn't even know that was a thing. Do you just like hit a bokoblin out of bounds and then just
Beast,
do an ending blow?
Beast figured it out recently. You can like spin attack one of the Bokos to knock them down while they're still outside the barrier, and then EBMB over the barrier. But it's really tricky, and nobody's going to practice that.
Okay, TG.
Anyways, looks like TG finally getting through barrier 3.
So he's still ahead, but that was very interesting.
And decent Zelda for Zach. Apparently quite a bit better than his PvE.
TGD needs to go ahead and skip this split for entering Hyrule Castle.
Yeah, true. As we'll see Zach doing a specific combo to deal the maximum amount of damage to Beast Ganon on every cycle. That'll let him get it done in 3 cycles with a fast attack for the last one.
Yeah, it's the same combo that Midna tried to do earlier on Decker Toad. So it's a jump slash, 4 non-combo hits, and then a full combo.
Yep, and you saw him kind of just face in the corner and do that almost no-look ball and chain throw. That's actually, again, to reduce lag. This whole throne room fight is very laggy if you look in the wrong direction. That looks good. He should just be able to get a B attack to finish the fight now. Meanwhile, Pigeon, unfortunately, not quite making it up to that step before it rises. So I'll have to go back and light the torch again. Then, actually, Pigeon... Oh man, look at this. Pigeon's only 1 room behind TGD now. See how Zach does.
But Zach must have had like a really fast 7 Zelda.
Yeah, I think so. It looks like it's only 4 seconds slower than his best.
Yeah, and his best was fast too. So.
PG unfortunately missing the ball and chain strat on Ralphos there. But Pigeon, meanwhile, having trouble with the bombs to clear out those Ralphos there, so TGD still a little bit ahead. Meanwhile, Zach is almost done. He's 3 auto spins and an ending blow away from victory. Should easily be able to get a 254 here.
Oh, for sure.
Pigeon also getting some weird stuff from Ralphos there. That's strange. Mid not going for the Dangaro phase. 1 cycle, it looks like.
There's some people in chat speaking German, but Zach is playing on English, so he is not going to have the text box up during the fight.
Yep.
I think that's maybe German exclusive.
Yeah, it's a German thing.
Though. Yeah.
All right, congratulations, Zach.
Very nice. Get gold at the very end too.
Barely. So that gives him a guaranteed spot in the main bracket. I forget who that puts him up against. Was it Cool 5?
Check.
I believe that puts him up against Dean Machine.
Yes. I concur.
Then it's still actually anybody's game for the second place spot.
Yeah, TGD would have to have a fairly bad Zelda, but it's not impossible. And I mean, the final fights are not like super easy either.
No, horseback could also swing it.
But I'll see if he enters the door here. We'll be able to tell how far apart they are.
See you, Zach. Thanks for racing.
I guess Zach isn't going to come in for an interview. Well, also looked like Pigeon is about 50 seconds behind TGD, so there would have to be a pretty big difference in Zelda's or, TGD flubbing some of the final fights.
Yeah, it's definitely not out of the question. But if it does happen, TGD is probably going to feel pretty bad about it. Mid, unfortunately, getting a sword clank there at the last combo on Zant, but dealing with it. And let's see if she gets the final phase strategy. Fortunately, it's slightly missing the target for the last combo. Gonna have to take a little longer there.
Yeah, the second cycle is a bit annoying. Zant will try to attack you 3 times in a row, and then I think do 3 tops in a row after that. So it can be easier to just spin him away and try to get a top, but it's a little bit slower than being able to
not
back
totally
up
sure.
lane. Yeah.
Hopefully TGD gets some good Zelda RNG here. Appears to be building a pot fort.
I will note that Pigeon is on PB pace.
And TGD, unfortunately, not getting good Zelda RNG. This will be at least an 8 cycle.
Thankfully, Zelda does not break the pots, I guess, when dashing through them.
She can sometimes.
She didn't that time. Not the greatest Zelda for, I think, either runner.
Nope.
I don't know what cycle Pigeon's on. But I don't think that he's gotten the second lightning ball yet. I guess we'll see in a minute here.
We'll see in a minute.
Yeah. Man.
TGD, meanwhile, through into the beast cannon stage.
Good side hop, although unfortunately on the wrong side of beast cannon. Simikid's just found something recently where if you end up on the wrong side of beast cannon, it's like, I think, a little bit faster to hit through beast cannon's body. It's kind of tricky, but it's a little faster.
This is a terrible Zelda for Pigeon. Wow.
Was that the second lightning ball just now?
I think just now, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So they've got at
Yeah,
least
this is-
4 more cycles left.
Yeah, I haven't been counting cycles, but like this is probably the worst one in Wolfdash so far.
It definitely could be. I'm sure Cordy will let us know.
Yeah, the worst one so far. I guess Marco had a 13 today, so it may not be the
Wow.
worst, but the worst one before today was a 10. This would definitely be worse than that from the looks of it. So, Pigeon definitely needed to catch up on Zelda and not lose ground.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's-
not what's happened.
Yeah.
That's
this
very
is like
unfortunate.
this is getting to the point where it's going to be very difficult for Pigeon to be able to PB with us anymore, despite
Yeah,
getting Zelda with
that's... Oh my gosh.
it, which always feels awful.
Yeah, he's behind PB again. That's
Oh my
really
goodness.
unfortunate.
How many attacks is we need to go back and like see.
We're gonna need to check the tape on this one.
I'll go check the tape once TGB finishes. So I can go back and check.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Was-
TGD missing a spin on horseback. That's unfortunate.
Cordy says, I guess, guy got a 8 cycle with 4 swoops on triangle.
Yeah, it would be.
Less bad than I thought.
Pigeons was impressive though.
Yeah.
Definitely a shame because it appears to have screwed him out of a PB. That's about the worst thing that can happen to you as a Twilight Princess speedrunner.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't on like sub 3 pace or anything.
No, but you know, a PB is a
Still,
PB.
the PB is nice. But he'll have plenty of opportunities to get PBs in the next however many races in the tournament.
Yep. Definitely, if you can get there once, you can get there twice. But it's still frustrating. Good final fight from TGD here. Looks like he is going to go for the swag. Very nice. Congratulations, TGD.
GG guy.
So he's also got a guaranteed spot in the tournament now.
Yep. And well deserved. I mean, a 302 in a race is a very good time.
Yep, looks like he'll be up against a Wabi.
Yeah. I feel a little bit for Pigeon because if he was in most of the other pools with this time, he probably would have finished second. But
Yeah.
It's all right. It's still a pretty
Definitely.
good time from Pigeon. Pigeon should feel pretty good going into the last chance race. Uh,
It
TGD,
might not be, guy. It might
I
not
don't think
be.
it is. I mean, so I think from what I see, Pigeon's PB on his splits is a 303.54. I don't know if that's his PB on the leaderboards. Yeah, I think that the leaderboard's PB is outdated. So unless I'm missing something.
No, 305 on leaderboard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This would be
could
ahead
beat
of that, but it will beat that for sure.
Yeah.
This should
Anyways,
be like
GG,
304.
GG Pigeon.
Yep.
So Pigeon moves on to the last chance race. That'll probably be sometime next week. And assuming Zelda cooperates, mid should still be able to PB this round.
I don't know if any of our runners are going to come in for an interview. Zach seems to have already left, but I guess TGD will be going against Wabi, sounds like.
Yep.
That should be interesting.
Then mid went through with the Dark Nut here.
Be interested to see if she goes for the faster lantern puzzle. I definitely don't go for
I
it.
don't expect it.
Yeah. The movement is pretty tight.
Yeah. Looks like she's not going for the fast lantern puzzle.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. It's only like a second, so. So yeah, if everything goes pretty well, Minna should only have like 10 minutes left in this run.
Yep. Hopefully she can get a PB here today.
It'd be nice.
Seems likely.
5 triangles.
13
Damn.
confirmation from Madeline that it was a 13 cycle Zelda for Pigeon.
Okay, that is apparently not worse than Marco's, but still
But
pretty
only
damn
barely. Only barely.
Yeah. It's the same number of cycles, but fewer triangles.
And unfortunately having a little bit of trouble with the Ralphos here. It is possible to get a one cycle with just the sword, but it's a little tricky. And then it looks like for the first round of the redemption bracket, Midland should be up against Fodder Cannon. I think that's going to be a very interesting race.
Yeah, I think Fodder was talking about that in an interview after his Bulls race earlier, that he was expecting
Yep.
that would happen and should be very competitive there.
Yeah, absolutely will be. It'll also be interesting because both of them run fairly different routes. Uh, Fodder prefers a bite route, so it should be fun. A lot of suspense in the early part as we try to figure out exactly who's ahead through the routing differences.
Yeah, as between those two routes, since it's not EOH, when do those line up again? Is it at like the end of mid-December hour?
I'm
Or
not
like at the end
totally
of Moorfield or
sure.
something?
I think it would have to be. I think it would have to be after MDH because they get ending blow in different spots.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, so it would be
So
after
probably still
Orange Pillar Clip
just.
gets the skill.
So
So
that'll be
before
probably on
AG
like
though.
entering AG or
Okay.
entering desert or something.
So similar to
Sometime
most of
during
rest
the
of
enter
run
AG.
differences. Yeah. Seems like
Yeah.
basically every route lines back up at AG.
Yeah. Well, especially because there are routes that can converge sooner, but yeah, for these it would be enter AG. And yes, Midland is still on PB pace.
Yes, it's
Though
not
not by a
massive
huge margin.
PB pace, but
Zelda could definitely ruin this like it did for Pigeon, so hopefully we won't see that here today.
I'm gonna try to actually count the cycles this time.
It should be a little easier when we only have one run to pay attention to.
I know. Yeah, every
Ooh,
other
looks
time
like
I'm
a
flipping away.
castle second half gold for mid there. That's nice.
Nice. Yeah. Minda has like a bit of a buffer here, so even with the not great Zelda, she should still be able to PB.
Yep, hope you're right.
Good start.
Yep. That's one. So this one has to be a different attack. It can't be an energy ball.
Yeah, triangle. It's unfortunate.
Unfortunately, slightly slower when you get a triangle.
Yeah, ideally you get 4 swoops and 3 lightning bolts.
Yeah, and
I mean, not in
unfortunately,
that
this is
order,
going to
but-
be at least 8 cycles now. Got an extra one there.
Right, yeah, you want the lightning bolts to show up on the first, third, and seventh.
Yep.
This is 4.
So it's going to be at least 3 more attacks before the next lightning ball. Hopefully that's all we'll see.
Another triangle, unfortunately. You can tell because the camera kind of does some weird stuff in comparison to the
Yep.
dash.
Fortunately, another triangle.
I always kind of just spin the camera side to side, and if it stops, then I know like immediately it's going to be a triangle. So many triangles, good grief.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
That was 7, I think, in the 4th triangle.
Yeah, so hopefully this will be the energy ball.
Yeah. Still be a very slow 8. There's also some RNG with like the amount of time it takes between attacks.
Oh, man.
at
This is
least a 9
unfortunate.
cycle now.
And it's all triangles, too.
There's one swoop, but yeah, almost all triangles. Crazy.
Now there's
And
another
a
swoop.
dash. Goodness.
This is not a good day for Zelda for anybody.
No. She gives a lightning ball now. It's okay.
Yeah, looks good.
that-
Midna's going to have an absolutely perfect rest of the fight to PB, though. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, her splits give her 20 seconds of buffer to her best. So she can't mess up anything major, though. Like that.
Yeah.
That's really unfortunate.
That's what I was worried about.
Yeah.
Looks like she's going to attempt to get a grab for the retry instead of trying with the ball and chain again.
Yeah, and Beast Ganon unfortunately going into the portals.
Yep.
Although thankfully pretty fast with portals. You can go around for a really long time, but that was not too bad.
So yeah, that's another 10 cycle Zelda in Wolfdash. That's
Yeah, there's been a lot of.
We've had so many of those.
Yeah, I want to say it's like roughly a 1 in 3 chance to get a 7, and then it just like the chances get
tails off
worse
from
from
there.
there. Yeah. I don't know what the name of the distribution is, but
I don't know. There's probably some statistics word for it.
I'm sure there is. Yeah, I think on average we've had like worse luck than you would have expected.
It feels bad.
Yeah.
Mid, unfortunately, getting hit in the corner there. Should be able to recover this. Looks good.
Yeah, it should be fun. But unfortunately, probably can't PB anymore.
Yeah, this is going to be really tight.
Yeah, it looks like it's not possible. I don't know how.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how good
like
her
last 2 splits
horseback.
are, but
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess there is a Zelda histogram, but it's not like
Yeah.
the distribution you would expect.
That's exactly what I
function.
was going to say.
Yeah. Hopefully, horseback will be nicer.
Yep, fingers crossed here.
Looks like the good RNG. It's a good path.
Yep, that's a good start. And good. Good awareness to hold on to the dash there. Ooh, unfortunate. That
was
turn
really
can really...
unusual.
Yeah, that turn can really give you trouble.
Yeah, I don't know what she did differently on that path, but normally he'll just keep going straight there.
Looks like a horseback gold for mid here. That's nice. Yeah. I think she's still going to end up a few seconds off, but we'll see.
Yeah, it looks like her best is like actually pretty close to the best you can do on this final one. So I don't think that she can save enough time. But still, to like almost get a PB during the race is pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just 3 jump spins. 1.
Ooh, unfortunately,
Missed
not
the
quite
second
the right timing on that one.
Yeah, she didn't wait quite long enough.
Good recovery, though.
Yep. And the very nice iron boots.
All right, GG Midland.
GG. See if we're gonna get any sort of interview or anything.
As I said, Midland will be up against, I fodder cannon for the next round. We'll see if she comes in for the interview.
That is the fastest, like, top 4 finish of any pool in this entire tournament so far. So it's interesting.
Yeah, this was a real good race. This was pretty competitive.
Yeah.
Like for 317 could have gotten you 3rd place in several of the pool races.
Yeah, so that's just unfortunate grouping, but
yep,
she'll have a pretty good
Sometimes it
shot to do
happens.
well in the redemption bracket. So
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to watch.
we might get an interview. Might just take
Yeah.
a second.
We'll see.
Anyway, so most of the brackets are now completely set. There's one more race before the brackets are fully set between all of the runners that finished 3rd place in each of their pools. And so the top 2 runners from that race will go on to the main bracket. And the bottom 5 will end up in the redemption bracket.
Yep, we do already have some of the first round matchups set and scheduled. I believe we'll be starting tomorrow with Jaquade here versus Prince for the first round in the redemption bracket. That'll be the same. That'll be tomorrow, 2 hours earlier than this stream. So that'll
Yeah,
be.
I'm not sure if that's getting restreamed or not, but that will be happening tomorrow.
And then a couple days later, we'll have JD versus Anarakis.
Yep. And since there were a bunch of pools today, a lot of people will start scheduling stuff pretty soon here, which should be nice.
Yep, should be a lot of races over the next week. In addition to that big last chance pool, that'll be 7 players.
Right, and those 7 players
2 spots in the main bracket.
Those 7 players are going to be Simikins, Badamja, Ethernet, Andy, Link 1183, QWERTY, and Pigeon from this race. And so that should be really interesting, very hectic, a lot of people in the same pool. Should be cool. Okay, I don't know if we're going to get...
Yeah, I'm going to say probably not at this point.
Yeah, we can probably just close out. So.
Yep, I think that's going to be all for today. It's been a heck of a day of Twilight Princess with all 3 of the remaining pools. If you made it through all of this, congratulations. As I said, I'm not sure if the race tomorrow is going to be restreamed. We'll see. If it is, it'll be right here.
Yep, so thank you to all of our runners, TGD, Zach, Pigeon, and Midna. And thank you, Morgan, for helping me co-commentate for the last 3.5 hours.
Yep, thank you, Jaquade.
And thank you to our restreamers as well for making it so that all of our viewers could see this race. Very interesting race. So.
That was Ricky of Kokiri and Crystal Bellis. Shout out to both of you.
And,
I think that's about it.
That's about it. So we'll see y'all for future races in this tournament.
Yep, Wolfdash keeps going. That's going to be... We've got at least another month of this for you guys, so stay tuned. Night, everyone.
Good night.